Got your water, everybody? I do, because I know I'm gonna need it. Whenever I stream a visual novel, I'm always in desperate need of water, because there's a lot of reading of dialogue. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Mobius. Hello, Shirley. Welcome, welcome. Nice music indeed. That was Hayashi from Higurashi When They Cry. One of my favorite songs that I've heard. I think it's from the anime version, though, because I have not encountered that in the actual Steam soundtrack yet. What wacky things will Shion do? I just don't know. She'll probably say some really weird things. She might threaten someone with violence. Or she might just be overall creepy. Or she might be normal, because we're still in the early part of the game. I don't really know. But let's find out, shall we? Nyach. Hey, Ruben, welcome. You're just in time. Yes, I apologize for the slightly late start. I wasn't sure if I'd have time to even stream it tonight because I was celebrating my mom and my nephew's birthday today. But the party ended early, so I was able to get back in time. Just start a half hour later. Because I have to shower. Nobody wants to have a stinky Artie streaming, even if you can't tell the difference. You're excited to actually see Satoshi? I hope we do. I have a feeling we will, since this is taking place like a year beforehand. So it'll probably be about the incident the year prior. That's what I'm assuming. But yeah, let's continue. I also want to point out the 2 achievements I've gotten thus far have been called Goodbye Sister and Hello Sister. Goodbye Sister being you're saying goodbye to the sisters at the Catholic school you left, and Hello Sister being you saying hello to Mion. I think that's pretty interesting. Also, I think there's, is it 16 or 18? There are 16 achievements in this game. Now, 2 of them are just for reading all the tips and doing the after party. But that means we are 1/7 of the way through the game. So, it might take a while. Anyhow, if we want to cover this, we better get started. Ooh. Yes, it was a fun party. Bet he has a Satoko canine tooth. We'll see if Satoshi has that. Isn't it usually the anime girls that have that, not really the boys? It's a very quiet afternoon, as always. Since I can't go outside as myself, I have to match schedules of Mion when I go shopping. Yeah, otherwise Grandma will be upset, and we can't upset Grandma. That would be nothing to sneeze at. I've gotten used to it by now, so it's no longer a hassle. Because of this, I naturally have to buy things in bulk. Oh, she got that Costco membership. Today, I shuttled between the shops and my home.
あれは買った、これも買った。あ、そうだ。今日って100円セールの日じゃなかったっけ?
Dang, $1. Oh, she's going to Dollar General now.
忘れてた。
Being in a good mood, I spun around where my arms spread out, or with my arms spread out. I felt like a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. It obviously wasn't there where it was supposed to be. Uh-oh. Are we getting involved with the street gang that Mion had to scare off in Chapter 2? I mean, Shion had to scare off on Chapter 2? I thought it was Mion. Ouch! I gave it a kick with no hesitation. Oh no. Watch it, stupid head! There were 3 motorcycles lined up in a row. They all fell like dominoes. It was a beautiful sight. This is fun, I thought. Oh, she likes vandalism. She's a real winner, isn't she? Being in such a good mood made me leave my guard down. I didn't realize that the owners of the motorcycles were right nearby. They looked pretty scary. They grabbed me by the neck and dragged me into a dark alley. Uh-oh. They don't know she has Yakuza connections, so this is not going to go well for anybody involved. Then they called me all kinds of names. Everything was happening too quickly for me to grasp what was going on. Uh-oh. Oh no, he said the word Daffic. We're done. Uh-oh. He called us a female dog. This is bad. They're also all named Delinquent, so you really know that their parents didn't actually care about them. That guy can't even speak English. He's just going, bleh, just makes noises. Oh, never mind. Oh, never mind. It's the return of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Thugs. Probably the same ones from Chapter 2. We're going to do something really bad to them, which is why we were able to scare them off in Chapter 2. That's how it's going to happen. Whoa. They can't really talk properly. I didn't have a clue what they were saying. I had to translate their alien tongue into normal human words in order to understand. We are very upset because you knocked down our motorcycles. Well, they should have ridden bicycles. You should immediately pay for the repair and compensation. Yeah, that was probably it. That's our offer. What do you say? We'd be happy to listen to your opinion. Something like that?
あー、ごめんなさい。
She's not panicking very much. This is interesting.
さすがにそろそろ翻訳不能かも。
I know what they're trying to say, but somebody has to warn them about the way they park their motorcycles. It wouldn't be fair to those who obey the rules if there was no punishment for those who disobey them. I mean, I do agree with that. So there you go. 1 point for Shion. This is an accident, but it also must be God's will. Oh, but I thought you didn't like religion, Shion. So it looks like you're a little contradictory here. But God. You can use me to punish these guys, but how will you compensate me later? Oh, no, not... Oh, boy. Shion's a piece of work. She's not even insane yet, and she's already a piece of work. I heaved a huge sigh. Of course. I wasn't afraid in this situation at all, because it wasn't a dangerous one for me. These three guys were yelling at the top of their lungs at a girl. They didn't look good doing it, and they also had too many disadvantages. First, there was the differences in gender and the number of people. Even if I did something wrong, as men shouting at a woman, it didn't make them look like they were in the right. Added to that, there were 3 of them. It already looked like it was going to get violent. Second, the location. Taking a girl into a dark, narrow alleyway is already a bad idea, and on top of that, they're asking for money, not just an apology. Hey, ex-dude, welcome! Oh, we're just getting cornered by street gang delinquents, and we're gonna beat them up. No problem. It's a beat-em-up gang, don't you know? Shion probably has pepper spray or something? Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't put it. She probably has a weapon of some kind. The greatest one of all, her tongue. Thanks to these facts, the public will be on my side. So this is a fight they couldn't possibly win. Yeah, but you also might lose the fight. That's the problem. You know, they're probably not getting out of this scot-free, but you're also probably not getting out of this scot-free. The only way for them to win would be to take my money before somebody finds out. Considering that, taking me to this narrow, secluded alleyway might have been a smart move, since fewer people will find out about this situation. Are they just punching the wall in frustration? Because Shion's not reacting to getting hurt, so... I knew how slim their chances of winning were. From the very beginning, they had picked the wrong girl. I'm Mion Sonozaki now. It'd be foolish to mug her in Okinomiya. Soon enough, the people of Hinamizawa would notice me and gab around. They don't spare mercy for their enemies, no matter what. The punks didn't know this area well. If they did, they'd have known how silly it was to rob Mion. Plus, the alleyway isn't as empty as they assumed. Yeah, this is a very dark alleyway. That or the assets are limited. The side street is also a shortcut which local people frequently use on their way home. In the late afternoon, many people will be passing through here. That time had almost arrived. If I held off a little longer, the street would soon be filled with people. Then the punks would have to go away. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to wait in order to win. This was a simple fight like that. I at least admire her guts. Shion definitely seems capable, even if she's kind of crazy. While they could hurl abusive language at me or lift me up by my collar, they weren't actually going to resort to violence. Are you sure about that? Cheers to the educational system for ingraining the ladies first mindset. But as a wicked person, I wanted to toy with them a bit, even though I could win this by waiting. She even thinks that she's a bad person. This is not good. I wanted to paint them as even more villainous and drive them into a corner that would be even harder to talk their way out of. The demonic desire was rearing its horns. Alright, Shion, you are... To put it plainly, I'd only need to act as the poor, helpless victim a little further. Like that pathetic, pitiful, tragic heroine everyone wants to sympathize with. In a case like this, I shouldn't start crying immediately, because they'd get nervous and draw back. If it were a truly threatening situation, that would work, but I needed something different here. I'd pretend to be strong at first. In fact, I thought, why don't I challenge them? And eventually I'd start trembling, my voice would fade, and I'd get tears in my eyes. It'd be even better if I played the role of a strong girl who's slowly giving in to fear. Mion and I are probably the only ones who are capable of pulling that kind of stuff off. Well, I'm probably better than her.
そんなにしつこく言わなくてもいいでしょ。悪かったって言ってるじゃないですか。
I don't like either, to be fair. But at least Keiichi's usually only perverted when he's with other people, which is kind of weird. Normally it's the opposite. I talk back with a little hesitation. Am I getting tears yet? Oh, gross! Oh, she's so manipulative. I hate this. Yes. By the way, I've heard men can't shed tears on command. I feel sorry for them. The free punks faltered a bit due to my sudden change in attitude, but they soon started yelling at me again. I had to keep it going. That way they'd blatantly look like they were picking on a helpless girl.
もう許してください
Crocodile tears. She's the worst.
なんだよこら。さっきまでの伊勢はどこ行ったんだよ、にゃろ。
そんなのだって
How does this girl have any fans?
そんな今頃泣くくれなら殺されてんじゃねえんだよ、タクよ。
Life hack, don't blink, you'll cry. Does that work? It looked like they were laying off a bit. Did I overdo it a little? It'd be boring if they let me go now. She's the worst! She's not even just trying to get out of the situation. She's like, I want to ruin these guys' lives. Oh man, Shion would love modern day with social media. At that moment. Hey, and here he is!
いい加減にしないか。
Oh man, oh, this is how she's gonna become, like, obsessed with Satoshi. She's gonna be, wow, he didn't know, and he, like, stood up for me all by himself. Let's go, Satoshi. Here he is. The one, the only, the man with a sprite. Man, Satoshi got a sprite before Keiichi did. Yikes. Oh, look at this. He looks a little derpy in the OG art style. Although it doesn't look bad. I feel like he's a little higher quality in this art style compared to some of the others. Ooh, oh! Hey now. Hey now. Console Satoshi. Okay. I can dig this. Which is better? Oh, I do like the remake art style. Okay, I gotta ask, which do people prefer? The remake Steam version here? Or console? And console, by the way, will have lip sync involved too. I like them both, actually. He looks so sad. He does look a little bit sad. That's because he's probably just trying to put on a brave face. Let's see what his lip sync is like.
もう泣いているじゃないか。やめてやれ。
Oh, you call that lip sync? He barely even moved his mouth. Okay, no, we're going back to the remake. that was like a 1 pixel difference. Good job. A boy around my age appeared. He was skinny. He looked weak. He looked younger than he probably was. He also looked smart. He bravely glared at the punks. Ooh.
なんだ。
You like all three? You like the original, then console next. Okay, so you don't like the remake art styles. For me, it's kind of split between remake and console. There are a couple sprites where I'm like, oh man, the console art style is just so good.
なこの野郎。
Okay, you know what? Let's go to the console at least. Let's get a little bit of that lip sync. That guy's natural voice sounds like when I'm intentionally doing a stupid voice.
Nah, you better back off now or I'm gonna punch you.
The punks turned away from me to face the boy instead. The boy looked a bit agitated when the punks started yelling at him. They sure were ruthless. But the boy must have known that from the beginning. He must have known that he was going into a dangerous situation, yet he didn't hesitate. And this makes sense, because Satoshi is in a dangerous situation on a regular basis. He probably is constantly trying to stand up to his terrible aunt and uncle, and he also has experience defending his younger sister. So this is actually very in character. This is smart. I like this. What is that face?
I'm mad now.
This is great. Oh, he's got the little sweat drip here in the original art style. Okay, you were speaking about Satoshi specifically. That's what I figured, Ruben. Okay, yeah, I like the console for this face a lot.
返事せんか返事。
He wasn't even talking there, but he still opened his mouth. He must have wanted to shout back at them, but he'd probably never used that kind of language in his life, so he couldn't have expressed his feelings out loud. He might not have even known what to say. So he just kept on glaring at them, to let them know that he wasn't going anywhere. The three punks, though, might have thought he was just lost for words in his fear. But I knew different. The boy was overpowering them with nothing but his will. The punks were losing, so they resorted to violence. They grabbed him and knocked him down. They hit, kicked, and tossed him around. It looked painful, but I knew. It was his victory. Dang. You like Keiichi better? He gives off a bold attitude. Satoshi looks weak and depressed. It makes sense in story, though. I mean, I don't really know Satoshi well yet, so I'll have to figure... I'll have to figure this out. I like the cheerful music during the... while they're beating him up, yeah. In the end, local passerby stopped the punks. They made no further fuss and just went away. The boy stood up. He was covered in dust. But that's not exactly reflected in the art style here. He smiled when our eyes met. He's like, oh, hey! Hey, cute girl! This is my chance. No, Satoshi. Don't do it. She's crazy. She's insane. All day, but he looks so happy in this one. Oh, he looks pretty friendly here. I don't hate the original art style for Satoshi. But let's keep up the console. He asked me if I was alright. He didn't look particularly okay himself, though. I mean, he looks pretty fine to me.
あんたもよくもまあ勝てない喧嘩を買う人ですね。次からは勝てる算段がついてから喧嘩を買うことを深くお勧めしますけどね。
最初は迷ったよ。
Yeah, but he had to think about it. Dang, we're getting a lot of these sprites. Satoshi probably thinks it's Mion. Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, Mion's also kind of crazy, though. Oh, look how happy he is! Oh, that's cute. I like that. He laughed, saying that he was watching from the beginning. That meant he had the option to walk away. But instead, he worked up the courage and stepped in.
そういうのは勇気って言わず、身の程知らずとも言うかな。
I would say the same for you, Shion. Oh, he blushing.
ミオンは口が減らないね。
Okay, yeah, he does think it's Mion.
助けてくれてありがとうくらい言ってくれよ。泣いてたじゃないか。
別に泣いてなんかいません。あれはちょっとした演
He's
技
gonna
で。
be like, oh, of course it was.
いいよ、演技でも。
Oh, are we gonna pull the whole thing on Satoshi that they pulled on Keiichi in Chapter 2, where it's like, surprise, I'm her twin, and he's like, ah!
ちょっと信じてないでしょう。私が本当に泣き出すと思いますか？
But you did.
思わないよ。天下御免の園崎ミオンが不良にいじめられて泣き出したなんて誰も思わないよ。
何を笑ってるんですか？全然信じてないでしょう。私が半泣きなんてするわけない。
信じるから信じるから。
I realized one thing. He must be one of Sis's friends. He didn't seem to realize I'm her twin. Yeah, because nobody knows that. Because Grandma's like, Shion doesn't exist. We sent her off to the Catholic school. He thought I was Mion with a different hairstyle. Mion and I had to live separately since before we went to elementary school. Mion was in Hinamizawa, and I was in Okinomiya. I lived in a totally different environment from her. So it's not strange that people don't know me. Actually, only very few people know I exist. I almost told him I'm not Mion, but I managed to stop myself. Shion shouldn't be here. He's from Hinamizawa. It wouldn't be good if he thought a Mion look-alike was if he thought he saw a Mion look-alike in Okinomiya. So I had to act like Mion. Dealing with him could be more difficult than handling those punks.
でもまあ、ミオンにも少しは女の子らしいところがあったんで安心したよ。
なんだか妙に引っかかる言い方ですけど、つまりはどういう意味で？
ミオンのことだから、なんだか珍妙な憲法でも使って瞬く間に撃退してしまうんじゃないかって期待してたね。
That doesn't really work. It's 1v3 and she's a teenage girl, okay? I'm not saying you can't do anything, but when you're up against 3 grown men, like, it doesn't really matter. They win.
だから泣き出した時は正直驚いた。
Yeah, that one's gonna be hard to explain. Like, I just wanted to mess with them and like be evil, you know?
だからあれは泣き真似だったって言ってるじゃないですか。さっきから人の話ちゃんと聞いて。
He gently put his hand on top of my head and stroked it as if stroking a kitten. Okay, that's maybe a little bit weird. But alright, you do you. I could remember somebody doing that to me when I was little, but It had been quite a while since somebody stroked my head. I mean, we ain't Satoko, bro. I didn't know what to do. Why did it make me so embarrassed? My face reddened all at once. I couldn't say anything. Is he
バカにしてま
is he
す。
gonna make the moves on us? This will be very awkward if he does.
ひょっとして
I started him in embarrassment. He looked calm as if he was used to doing this. That's what Rika does. Yeah, but Rika can do whatever she wants because people are just like, oh my gosh, she's so cute.
なんでもいいよ。よかったじゃないか。
I do want to see Rika again, though. She is one of the more fascinating characters after the events of Chapter 4.
よかったって何がです？
無事で。
He smiled as he kept stroking my head. His smile looked divine. He wasn't going to stay for long. He'd already saved me from those guys after all.
じゃあ僕は行かなきゃならないからそろそろ行くね。
うん。
I wanted to go for all the steps of meeting someone for the first time, but he didn't. As far as he was concerned, he just saved a friend from danger and wanted to leave quickly to avoid seeming pretentious. He and Mion must be friends who knew each other well. So I couldn't bring myself to ask, "What's your name?" Mion's friend smiled once again. His smile looked as refreshing as a clear blue sky. This time he smiled a bit mischievously.
安心しなよ。ミオンが泣いてたなんて誰にも言わないから。もっとも言ったところで誰も信じないだろうけどね。天下無双の委員長が泣いてたなんて絶対誰も信じない。
He patted the dust off his butt once again. He walked back to the sunny main road away from the dark alley. Then he turned around.
じゃあまた明日学校でね。
うん。学校で。
We're gonna have to phone call Mion about this. Be like, hey, Mion, just so you know, I decided to mess with some delinquents and... Doggone it, Shion, not again! He appeared into the brightly lit street. I continued to sit in the gloomy alleyway. I could no longer see him. I was just staring absent-mindedly at the bright light. That was the first time I met Satoshi-kun. Girl smitten, indeed. I'm not even allowed to walk freely under the sun. I met a boy on a sunny day. How come a perverse girl like me fell in love with his innocence? Notebook, page 5.
そりゃあサトシだよ。サトシ。
Satoshi, you can do better.
その特徴的な雰囲気と気安く頭を撫で
Okay,
る癖は
that's a
間違い
bit
な
of
い
a
ね。
weird habit. Don't try doing that to the teacher. She'll kill you.
ふん。
I mean, teacher would never do that.
サトシくんって言うんだ。
The boy from earlier is called Satoshi Hojo-kun. Mion said that he's always daydreaming. So she didn't believe that he saved me at first.
普段はしっかり者の妹にい
Okay,
ろいろと尻を叩かれてるな。
that's rude, Satoko. He is literally your only good family member, so be nice to him.
ふん。妹がいるんだ。
うん。妹はサトコって言ってね。なかなか面白いやつだよ。
That's debatable.
なかなか悪知恵が働く
That's
し
true.
ね。そのくせ追い詰められるとな。
That's all. Okay, 2 out of 3. There you go, Mion.
見てて退屈しない子だ
Okay,
ね。
2 out of 4.
まあ最近はいろいろとあってね。
3 out of 5.
ちょっと調子を落としてるけど。
His sister came up naturally in the conversation. I tried to soak up every scrap of information about Satoshi-kun. Oh no, she's Facebook stalking him before Facebook existed. Why? Why am I trying to ask so much about him? As I asked myself that, the feeling I got when he stroked my head came back to me. I must have been blushing. Oh, I wonder if he's gonna think like, oh man, Mion has a crush on me. I'm gonna pop the question. Do you want to go to the groovy dance at the old barn with me? That's how it always starts. Maybe Shion is experiencing the OMG, he talked to me, she talked to me, she likes me thing for the desperate men. Possibly. I mean, Shion hasn't had a whole lot of interaction with the opposite sex that isn't like 40 years older than her, so that could very well be.
シオン？
ああ、ごめん。聞いてる聞いてる。
そもそもね、サトコがおばと折り合いが悪いらしい
I
んだ
mean,
よ
her
ね。
aunt sounds pretty bad.
サトシは大人だからその辺はうまく立ち回ってるんだけどさ、 さとこは嫌なことがあると素直に表情に出しちゃうからね。
What Sis told me was very interesting. She told me that the parents of Satoshi-kun and his little sister are dead. Satoshi-kun and Satoko are now living with their uncle and aunt. They don't seem like very respectable people. They're always fighting, and the uncle's cheating on the aunt. Wow! Did we really need another reason to hate the uncle? What was the uncle's name again? I forget. He mostly lives with his mistress. Yeah, wow. Satoshi-kun and Satoko entered into that unwelcome environment. So are they at his house that he's staying at with the mistress primarily? And the aunt is only there occasionally? Or are they at the aunt's house and the uncle's only, like, occasionally like, I just came home for cigarettes? What surprises me the most is the fact that Satoshi-kun's parents were the Hojo couple who were the leaders of the pro-dam activists. That fact must have added something to the situation. I don't know what kind of stance the uncle and aunt took on during the dam conflict, but they must have taken some indirect blows. Satoshi-kun's parents died after bothering them so much, and even left them their children. The uncle and aunt obviously can't love those kids. I mean, they still don't have to treat them like trash. Teppei, that was his name, right? Things have gotten worse this past year, too. Women can be really nasty boys, yeah, because it's easier for them to get away with it. Sometimes it doesn't matter who they're bullying, even if it's a kid. On top of that, women tend to care less about propriety than men. As a result, Satoko seems exhausted with it all. I can imagine Satoshi-kun bravely protecting his little sister. Just like when he saved me.
なら、サトシ君も普段は疲れてるってことになるのかな。
え？
サトコがおばにいじめられるたびに、きっとサトシ君は妹をかばってると思う。妹が疲れるのと同じくらい、サトシ君も疲れてると思うのは、私。
Don't interrupt me, Mion.
どうだろうね。
Had I said something wrong? Mion sounded a bit taken aback. So that meant Mion can't tell how he's feeling. Because he's always wearing that blank look. So she never considered it. How can she be that insensitive even though she's around him all the time? You are one to talk, Shion. I was amazed to realize that.
まあそんな話はいいや。で、彼は普段はどんなことをしてるの？文系みたいだから読書とか好きなわけ？
あ、想像に漏れずに普段は読書して過ごしてる。
But we know he has a baseball bat too. That's what we used as our final boss weapon in chapter 1.
最近読んでる本はね、
If you say
なんて言ったかな。
he's reading Portrait of Markov, I'm gonna freak out. Nope, we don't even get to learn. I can. Everyone on YouTube, what book was Satoshi reading? I'm guessing the newest entry in the Redwall series, which back then was probably like Mariel of Redwall. That's a lot of assumptions going around. Oh yeah, yeah, that happens. I continued asking about him. About what he likes, dislikes, and what he thinks about. How is she supposed to know what he thinks about? Also, what's your number? He's probably with Coach Erie. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. The bat was also the final boss weapon in Chapter 3. The problem is actually, wait. Was the final boss... The final boss in Chapter 3 was like 2/3 of the way through it. You could argue the true final boss was Keiichi himself. Or Coach, or... You know what? We're just gonna keep going. I asked Sis all these questions because I wanted to know more about him. It was the first time I'd ever been that interested in somebody. I didn't want to admit that I had feelings like that. You met him for 5 minutes. Did I fall in love just because of a stroke on the head? Am I stupid or what? Yes! When I remember the feeling of his head on my hand, that is not what she said. When I remember the feeling of his hand on my head, my heart feels tingly. I tried doing it myself, but it doesn't feel the same. Okay, great. I'm stupid. What am I doing stroking my own head? The final boss of Chapter 3 was the disaster. That right there. The end of Chapter 3 with the crazy, like, everybody died except Keiichi. That is still the biggest mystery in the game for me. I have no idea what the heck happened, because that didn't happen in any of the other chapters. It wasn't really explained, and it was definitely not explained how Kaiji alone survived that. Also, that seemed to imply... Actually, no. The actual biggest, like, what the bleep moment was during the credits of Chapter 3, where it was going over the deaths of everybody, it mentioned that the uncle didn't die until the disaster, even though we definitely killed him earlier. I have no idea what to make of that, so... Again, no spoilers. I don't want to know the spoilers on that, but... Yeah.
おね、私もうダメだ。バカになっちゃった。
Oh, she said that out loud.
何を突然気色悪い声で笑い出して。
おねにはわかるまい、この気持ち。
What is this feeling? So sudden and new. Oh, she's going crazy with the giggles already. When would I see him again? I felt as though if my suffocating life had finally grown brighter. She's crazy. She's a stalker girl. I do not like Shion. She is my least favorite character out of the main characters. I can't wait to get all of the angry YouTube comments like, how dare you hate Shion? She's the best character, you have terrible taste. And it's like, whatever. The life I lived was really beginning to suffocate me. I couldn't go out freely, and I always had to make arrangements with Mion before going to work. I thought my life would improve after escaping from the school, but in reality, it wasn't that easy. It's not healthy to live like this for too long. Without any friends to hang out with, I felt like I was hibernating. Yeah. It's not going to be good for your mental stability. I'd started to feel the dangers of falling into boredom. All I could think about now was Satoshi Hojo-kun's face. You met him for 5 minutes! I'd only met him briefly, but my encounter with him made a great impact on my new life. Okay, look, I've had my share of crushes before, but it didn't take 5 minutes. Like, it was a bit more than that. I felt like something exciting was going to happen. Really, I was hyped up like a little kid. The more I thought about it, I realized I'd been thinking about him a lot lately. This might be a crush. Really? I felt a little ridiculous idolizing him in such a romantic way, though. Then, out of the blue, I got a chance to see him again.
あれ?
I saw a familiar face at twilight in the park. He was sitting on the swing. He looked like he was zoning out, or maybe deep in thought. He didn't notice me, even though I was right in front of him. I reminded myself to speak and act like Mion before talking to him.
Hey!
Hey! That's a great voice there, Shion.
何やってんのこんなとこ
I
で
guess
さ。
that's her Mion voice.
ミオンか。びっくりしたな。
そんなに驚いてるようには見えないけどね。
Okay, it's gonna be stupid, like, wow, she does a good job in voicing Mion because they're literally voiced by the same voice actress.
さっきからいたんだけど、ずっと気づかなかった？
そうなのかい？ごめん、気づかなかったよ。
He smiled self-derisively and shrugged. He looks depressed, like something was troubling him.
何か悩み事でも？聞いて楽になるものなら聞くし、力になれるものなら惜しまないけど。
いや、別に。
私はサトシ君には一個借りがあるからね。それとも何？おじさんじゃ力になれないと思ってるわけ？
This old man, he played too.
見くびられたもんだな。
He played too on his Mountain Dew, uh-huh.
別に。ミオンの力を借りたら意味がないことだからさ。
Okay, that is true. She was forced to do a life of fairly isolation in the all-girls Catholic school. So maybe I get her immediately latching onto the first guy who gave her positive attention. Okay? I'm not saying it's unrealistic. I'm more just rolling my eyes like, really?
ほう。それは何？
It's not even a bad writing. It's not you, it's me.
私ごとき女の手は借りたくないってこ
Well, you
と？
call yourself a man, so. Thinking him unfair, I puffed up my cheeks in a sulky gesture. Satoshi-kun noticed that and smiled.
違うんだよ、ミオン。僕に実力がなくて、ここ一番で打てなかったってだけのことなんだよ。
I'm assuming you're talking about your baseball swing and not the swing you're sitting on right now. I mentally rifled for all the information about Satoshi-kun that Sis had given me. He doesn't look like much of an athlete, but apparently Satoshi-kun belongs to a junior baseball team. Well, yeah, junior varsity. So, that's why. They're called the Hinamizawa Fighters. I doubt he's very skilled, since I didn't hear much about his contributions to the team. Maybe that's why he doesn't tell many people that he's a member. Given how down he felt as a result of messing up, though, he must be fairly dedicated. I deduced all that from what Sis told me, and carefully chose my words so as to sound like her.
なんだ、そんなことで落ち込んでるわけ？
そんなことでって簡単に言ってくれるな、ミオンは。
I pat his back while chuckling. Satoshi-kun would probably call me insensitive. I knew I should listen to him rather than trying to cheer him up. Acting like Sis was probably the wrong thing to do in this case, but I had no choice. This was just how she'd react in this situation.
それなら落ち込むんじゃなくて、なお一層練習に打ち込んで次のチャンスを目指すのが適当ってもんでしょうが。
Yeah, the Hojos were looked down on by the Sonozakis, so that is probably going to play some aspect in this friendship/relationship.
こういう時は練習しかないよ、練習。まあ、サトシ君に相手のピッチャーに小細工をしてまで勝ちたいという執念がある
That's
な
how
ら
you're gonna do it.
おじさんいろいろと協力できるかもしれませんけど
She's
ね。
gonna, you gotta take private baseball lessons with me. By the way, you're hot.
ずるしても何の意味もないよ。
Oh, man. Oh my gosh, his pouting face there is incredible. Oh no. Oh, I messed him so bad. No. Satoshi-kun hung his head after letting his regrets out with a big sigh. Surrender, defeat, resignation were all visible in that gesture of his.
諦めがいいのか未練たらたらなのか。やっぱり男に生まれたからには一度くらいは晴れ舞台でスターになってみたいでしょう。
Satoshi-kun grinned and said yes.
もちろんヒーローを目指すのが花だけど、それが目的で野球をやってるわけじゃないよ。
He plays baseball because he wants to eventually one day have his own baseball card in bubblegum packs.
純粋にボールを投げたり打ったりするのが楽しいからやってるんだよ。ミオンでもそういうの分か
She's
る
gonna
よ
be
ね。
no, you gotta be hyper competitive and do whatever it takes to win.
おじさんはそういうのはあんまわかんないかな。私は結果が一番であるならどんな種目でも大好きだし、一番になれないのに大好きなんてものはあんまりよくわかんないね。
ミオンらしい答えだな。
Having realized that I'm trying to make him feel better, he laughed alone. He didn't look depressed anymore. I guess he was just feeling down because of the game. He wasn't as depressed as I thought. Maybe I just jumped to conclusions when I saw him sitting alone in the park.
でもミオンは一番になるためにいろいろと努力をするからね。それは偉いと思うよ。
That sentence was just, Really? He smiled gently and stood up. Then he started stroking my head. All of a sudden, I totally wasn't prepared for that. Uh-oh. I thought this when he did this the last time, but how can he stroke somebody's head so easily? It felt like I had turned into a little kid. Memories from kindergarten came to mind. My face must have been red. I felt embarrassed, but also like I was in heaven. Satoshi-kun stroked me as though petting a cat. I was blushing with my eyes closed. I felt helpless, like a girl being treated by the dentist with her mouth open and her eyes shut. Satoshi-kun didn't seem to notice my feelings at all. He didn't seem to care. I hate him. Great. With my eyes still closed, I waited for him to finish. He suddenly withdrew his hand.
じゃあ
Bruh! He did that so long that the sun's going down?! Yeah, okay. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Even with your own boyfriend, you wouldn't want him petting your head? Yeah, it's not something everybody really wants.
おばさんに野球の帰りに買い物をしてくるよう頼まれてるから。
あ、
How long was he stroking her head? Like an hour? My voice faltered. I was so embarrassed.
買い物なら私夕飯の買い
Oh,
物
great.
あれミオも買い
Mion
物す
doesn't
る
go
んだ。
shopping. She has servants to do that.
お手伝いさんが全部やってくれるって言ってなかったっけ？
Shoot. I messed up. In the main Sodazaki house, the maids do everything. Therefore, Mion hardly goes grocery shopping, and she's bragged to some people about that. I should have known better. Still, it wouldn't be too hard to find an excuse.
町に遊びに来るつもりでいたからたまに買い物を私が引き受けてきたわけよ。お分かり？
ミオンにしては珍しいね。普段はそういうのめんどくさいって言って嫌がりそうなのに。
そういうのを余計なお世話って言います。頭撫でないで。
Satoshi-kun seems to be having fun with how embarrassed I'd get when he petted me. Anyway, I managed to talk my way out of it. He didn't seem to really care about the details. He's probably glad to have some company. While walking with Satoshi-kun in the shopping district of Kimi-Ishiki, it suddenly occurred to me. Why had I messed up? I'd known Mion would never go grocery shopping. What an amateurist mistake. Did I make that mistake when I was pretending to be Mion? No. I was probably speaking as Shion. I couldn't keep lying to myself. I had to just admit. It was simply because I wanted to spend as much time with Satoshi-kun as possible. Of course that's why you did it. Obviously. Yeah, I can see why they have that kind of connection. They're doing a pretty good job writing this, honestly. It's very believable why they're getting along well. So I like that. It was easy to see why I was so attracted to him. I found something intriguing in my boring life, and I didn't have to feel tense because he thought I was somebody else, etc., etc. His easygoing nature made him fun to be around, and his habit of petting people on the head was fun too. From these symptoms, I could tell I was embracing the feeling of love. I was just casually enjoying that feeling. It wasn't that I fell in love with him. I was just having fun. I could simply spend some fun time with Satoshi-kun without having to think too much. Uh-oh. What are we about to do? We're getting the crazy music now.
ブロッコリーってどれだっけ？
This song was definitely from the first couple chapters. I remember this one.
緑だっけ？黄色だっけ？
Are you... You either know nothing about vegetables. Wait, I was about to say, or you're colorblind. No, but you still know which one is green and yellow, so you're not colorblind, so you're just an idiot. Okay, great.
サトシ君、そっちはカリフラワー。サトシ君ってひょっとしてキャベツとレタスの区
Bro,
別がつ
there
か
are
ない
times
タイ
even I
プ？
can't tell lettuce from cabbage if they're both the same color. No, he can tell this is the green one, this is the yellow one. He's just like, is broccoli green or yellow? Huh? Wow.
それはひどいよ。これでも精一杯
Also,
区別してるつもり。
Broccoli florets look very different from cauliflower florets. Satoshi-kun stared at the heaps of broccoli and cauliflower. You know, now that you mention it, this does sound somewhat familiar. Was there like a random scene in chapter like 3 where we're at the store and she's like, "Ah, I can never remember which one is broccoli." It's like, I think I probably had a similar reaction then too. Like, how are you this dumb? After thinking for a while, he reached out for the wrong one.
それ違う。サトシ君の買い物は見ててハラハラしますね。見てるこっちは楽しいけどさ。
This is like Satoshi would be the kid where his like aunt's like, "Make sure you get some alcohol," and he's like, "Okay, rubbing alcohol." I thought that was a funny joke too, Shion. Yeah, green cabbage and like iceberg lettuce look basically the same.
参ったな。サトコと一緒の時にも迷うんだよ。ブロッコリーとカリフラワーはどっちが何色だっけ？
It doesn't matter. They both suck unless you stir fry it correctly.
あんたら兄弟2人揃って面白すぎです。
Sister told me that Satoshi was a flaky big brother to his nagging little sister. I hadn't met Satoko, but she must be having a tough time dealing with Satoshi-kun. I can't get behind cauliflower. I've tried it. I don't like it. Broccoli, raw, I don't like either. But if it's stir-fried with the right sauce, it can be very good. He stumbles over everything he buys after all.
それは調理塩。胡椒とか混じってますから、卓上塩とは異な
Okay,
り
you
ま
must
す。
be talking about seasoned salt, because cooking salt is... I've never heard of that. Must be a Japanese thing.
そうなの？ほら、確か理科の実験で塩と胡椒を分離するのを確か。
Please don't separate it after buying it. Just buy the regular salt.
言い訳はいいから棚に戻す。こっちが普通のお塩ね。で、次は
Yes, Shirley. Broccoli in Chinese food is amazing. That's the best way to have it.
ミオンがいてくれると買い物が楽で助かるよ。
サトシ君、頭良さそうに見えて社会生活に支障ありすぎです。
Shion, why are you talking to yourself?
もう少しお勉強した方がいいと思います。
それはひどいな。あった。これかな。ひょいひょい。
だからそれは
It
違う。
sounded like you were in physical pain there, Shion.
何でもカゴに放り込む前に値段と何人分かをよく確認する。
My first impression of Satoshi-kun was that he was strong and reliable. But the more I spoke with him, the more surprised I was at how clumsy and unreliable he was. How do I put it? It was hard to leave him alone. I think you're just obsessed. He was dangerous on his own. If he wasn't careful, he might start wondering, do you cross the street when the light is red? Or was it green? And get himself run over by a dump truck. Sweat drop.
1780円になります。
That was a voice.
スタンプカードはお持ちですか？
Do you?
はい。あります。
Uh-oh, do you, Shion?
あれどこかな。
あー、すみません。ちょっと見当たらないんで今度でいいです。
I finished checking out, ignoring Satoshi-kun as he fished through his wallet full of receipts.
ひどいなミオン。スタンプちゃんと押さないともったいないよ。
Uh-oh.
あんた、夕暮れ時のお買い物ラッシュの時にのんびりと財布を漁ってスタンプカードなんか探さ
If you are holding up the line, then that's not great, but also, it's okay to, like, try to find your card.
後ろに大勢待ってるんだから。私たちの後ろで海線山線のおばさま方が早くしなさいざますって目でギロギロ睨んでたの気づいてなかったんですか？
That was a really long sentence in Japanese for a very simple sentence in English. Also, yeah, come on, Satoshi, it's Trader Joe's. You've got to get out of there and free up the parking spot, okay?
あのね、そういう時はレジ前に並んでる時からあらかじめ用意しておくの。
Yeah, you absolutely should get your payment stuff out before you get to the end of the line.
いいことを聞いたよ。
ちなみにここでのことだけじゃないですからね。バスに乗る時もそう。サトシ君、バスを降りようとして料金を入れる時、その時になって初めてお財布を開けて小銭をちまちま
Shion,
と
please
探
stop
して
roasting this
後ろ
poor
の人を
boy.
詰まらせて待たせてるでしょ。
みんな僕を追い抜いて勝手に料金を入れてるかな。
はあ、それはね、すっごーく周りに迷惑をかけているの
You
で
can
す。
teach him social awareness, that's fine.
そういうのはあらかじめ用意しておくのがマナー。
True.
わかりました？
That's
わかった
that's
よ。
assuming you know how much the fare is before you get up to the front.
今日のミオンは怖いな。
Satoshi-kun smiled as if patronizing me. Ha, I couldn't believe it. He was definitely the type who made women want to protect him. Sure, he was fine as he was, when he had a busybody like me around him. But I couldn't stop worrying whether he was going to be able to function in society without someone like that nearby. We got plastic bags and sorted out what we bought. Satoshi-kun put a pack of tofu at the bottom of the bag. I slapped his hand and put a milk carton instead.
はい、これで OK。これで台所で買い物袋を広げてお母さんに仰天されなくて済みま
Unless
す
his
から
aunt
ね。
is like, no, you always put the tofu at the bottom of the bag, idiot!
ありがとう。助かったよ。僕はどうも買い物が苦手でさ。
買い物だけ正直におっしゃい。
Do we have a different song here? Oh, yeah, this is a very different song. The first time it differed.
嘘嘘冗談。
I had realized a few things when I was spending time with him today. He's not just bad at shopping. He's also chronically clumsy. He's bad at life. In general, you could call him a slow thinker. That meant, when he stepped into the quarrel with the punks, he must have needed a lot of courage. He might be a simpleton, but he's not stupid. He's aware of his weaknesses. So, he must have been aware of the danger in that situation. He could have chosen to walk away even though I was in trouble. But he chose to be a man and stepped in. That was really admirable of him.
えらいえらい。サトシ君は頑張ったよ。いい子いい子。
Okay, really? That is very patronizing.
なんだよ。急に人の頭を撫でないでくれよ。
サトシ君が一人でお買い物ができましたでしょう。なでなでなで。
ミオン、僕のことすっごいバカにしてるだろ。
してないよ。お家一人で帰れるかな？
Except Keiichi's kind of insane, although maybe Satoshi's insane too.
道わかる？
So I can't say if I prefer Keiichi or Satoshi more.
やっぱりバカにしてる。
Satoshi-kun's sulky face flushed red. Aw, he's just too cute. At that point, I caught a glimpse of a billboard in the corner of my eye. Piano lessons, call redacted. Abacus class. Actually, yeah, no, there is legitimate abacus classes, and the kids who like do them become insane at mathematics. Where like they could use an invisible abacus, like not have an abacus, but basically mimic the finger presses and do ridiculously complex math in seconds. It's actually nuts. Junior baseball team members wanted. It was a posting for the team Satoshi-kun belonged to. Oh no, Shion, don't you try signing up for that just to spend more time with him. It showed the day, time, and place of their next practice. By then, I knew just how flaky he was. I figured he must be the same when playing baseball. Satoshi-kun realized I was reading the posting. He looked uncomfortable and walked away.
今サトシ君は思った。頼むからミオン、野球やってるとこまで来ないでくれよ。図星？そのムーってのはつまり
I
何さ？
don't speak that language.
図星ってことでしょ。
Satoshi-kun became quiet after mumbling something. It seemed like he couldn't say anything back since I had been right on the money. Satoshi-kun, you are just too cute. I don't think going silent is a good way to dodge the issue. Well, that might have just been the way innocent people like him would react in a situation like that.
じゃあねサトシ君、暗くなりかけてるから気をつけて帰ってね。
ミオンは
Oh yeah,
一緒に
he's
帰
gonna
ら
be
ない
like,
のか
I'm sorry, you have to go to Shinamizawa too, right?
ひなみ沢。
私はもうちょっと寄るとこありますんで、気にしないで先に帰ってください。
僕の買い物を手伝
Oh
ってもらったんだか
no!
ら付き合うよ。
He's gonna be like, well, you help me, so I'll make sure you get walked home.
今度は僕が手伝う。
大丈夫大丈夫。っていうかサトシ君が何を手伝うおつもりで？人の手伝いする前に自分が手伝われなくて買い物できるようになっといてくださいな。
Satoshi just seems like he's nicer, calmer, and not as insane. I do like that. But I also like Keiichi's voice a little bit more.
今日のミオンはひときわ意地悪かな。
He seemed to have some pride at least. He looked a bit upset because he was teased by a girl. But in contrast, I felt very satisfied. Oh, great! Shion, you're like proudly making yourself a very unlikable character right now. As a result, I forgot to keep my guard up.
あ、でも手伝ってくれてありがとうね。本当に助かったから。
While wearing a bright smile, Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head again. How many people do you do this to? Like, it's one thing to do it to your little sister. It's another thing to do it to, like, I guess your friends. But, like, if you do this to the teacher or just, like, random people, like, it's pretty weird. But hey, you never know. He is supposed to be good friends with Mion, so maybe, I don't know. I feel No, Mion did mention he just has a habit of doing this. So this seemed to imply he does this with a lot of people. Or maybe he's just like, oh, hey, Mion. And she's like, this is just a weird thing he does for me. Oh, I can't reject him. He keeps doing it because he's realized I won't resist. Oh.
じゃあね、ミオン。暗くならないうちに用事を済ませてね。また明日、学校で。
Keiichi would drag you around to make you have fun, and Satoshi would sit with you and pout with you. You know, it can be good to have friends that can do both. Or one friend to do one and one friend to do another. Sometimes you need someone to get you off your butt and go out and have fun. And sometimes you just need someone who's willing to sit with you and be like, man, you know, I'm here for you.
また明日学校でね。
I thought he was going to be like, it's Saturday tomorrow. In fact, I wouldn't see him tomorrow at all. It felt awkward, but I had to settle for that. I had to thank Sis for letting me use her name. After I separated from him, I found myself giddy and wishing to see him again as soon as possible. Oh no! Is this why Shion just is completely insane in the present time? Because she's like, cannot get over that Satoshi is gone? I wanted to know more about him. I couldn't wait for my next chance to see him. Actually, maybe there was something I could do. Just like when I obtained my freedom from St. Lucia's. I could choose how to live my life. Whatever, it wasn't that complicated. I just wanted it to tease him more. I wanted him to stroke my head more. And, whatever. I already knew the schedule for this baseball team. Shion, don't stalk the baseball team. Because then you're going to meet Coach, and Coach is definitely going to creep on you. New tips unlocked. A crumpled diary. Achievement unlocked. A hopeless pair went shopping with a nice young man. And the picture is a flippin' piece of broccoli. Isn't that great? Uh-oh. We're about to get dark again. My aunt finally stopped her hysterical screaming. How come you didn't put the tofu on the bottom of the bag, you idiot? So today, it was just like any other day. I can't remember what set her off. Whatever it was, she changed subjects constantly anyway. It didn't matter. She went on her past midnight again. Jeez. She's just like, you get home at 7 o'clock and she just screams for 5 hours and then just collapses of exhaustion, then wakes up and screams some more. She sounds terrible. The urge to sleep was pounding the back of my head. Once Satoko had been able to relax, she fell down on the spot and started sleeping, still clinging to my sleeve. I carried Satoko to the bedroom and laid out our futons.
ほら、サトコ。布団が敷けたよ。布団に入りな。
Mion, can you give me his dead skin? It's for science vibes. Yes! I absolutely believe this is going to escalate to her doing... Well, she's already doing kind of creepy things with being like, I gotta know his baseball schedule. I gotta meet him again. I gotta meet him again. And I guarantee you she's gonna try to get, like, a lock of his hair or something. Or, like, eventually just, like, camp his place. Be like, I love you. I love you. Why don't you love me? Okay, overly attached girlfriend. Innocent love. I sure hope nothing goes wrong. Of course not. Nothing goes wrong in Higurashi when they cry. It's a wholesome slice of life visual novel. Satoko crawled in like a worm. She stopped moving once she was inside. I wished I could go to bed too, but I couldn't. My aunt asked me to do some chores. I had to get toothpaste after school tomorrow. I had to write it down somewhere. I had to make rice for lunch tomorrow. I set the timer. Right, I also had to repile the towels in the bathroom. That was the reason for today's scolding. My aunt will get mad if everything isn't done the way she wants. Did she just yell at you for 5 hours about towels not being stacked up? Does she not realize that it, like, she could have spent a fraction of that just getting the towels stacked? No, she wants to be angry, let's be frank. Helga from Hey Arnold. Haven't seen Hey Arnold. Oh, and there was something else. I was working at the grocery store the next day. They wanted me to bring an apron. Did we even have an apron in this house? Wait, he works at the grocery store? I'd never seen one. My aunt will be sleeping when I go to school, so I won't have time to ask her. What should I do? Since Mion helped me get that job, I didn't want to screw it up. Oh! Was it Mion or Shion that helped him get the job? In that case, why don't I ask Mion about it at school? She might lend me one. Was there anything else? I was envious of Satoko because she got to go to bed. It was pathetic that I felt that way. No, it's not. Your aunt sucks. No wonder he's so ditzy because he's got a mess at home. And he's probably sleep deprived, too. Yeah, this poor kid. Highly recommend Hey Arnold. It's a really good show, not just for kids, but adults, too. I've heard that. I mean, I really like Arthur, and I've heard favorable comparisons between those two shows, so who knows? All right, let's continue. Oh no, she's stalking his baseball game again. We're going to meet Coach. He's going to creep on us. Guarantee it. If Coach doesn't creep on us within our first meeting, like, I will eat my shirt. Not literally, but, you know.
今日もお暑いのにご精が出ますことで。
お、ミオンさんじゃないですか。
Oh no, Coach looks terrible in this art style. Remake for Coach all the way. Coach is #1. He's back.
こんにちは。あれ？それは差し入れですか？
Oh wait, this doesn't count because this is technically not our first meeting because since he's our... Oh wait, no, he thinks we're Mion. Never mind.
ありがたいな。さすがは我がチームのマネージャー。
まあ気が向いたからです。別に監督に差し入れたくて買ってきたわけじゃないので、そこんとこよろしくお願いします。あとさりげなく人を勝手にマネージャーに組み込まないように。
ミオンがマネージャーだったら、
Oh, he's got the baseball outfit. All right, folks. Now here's the problem. I prefer Satoshi in the console art style, I think, but Coach is 100% better in the remake art style. Oh, Lord! Coach looks terrible in the original art style! What even is that? He doesn't look like the same character. He looks like a girl. What the butts? Oh, this is terrible. Okay, no, we're going remake for a little bit. Wow. Oh my gosh.
やってよ、ミオン。
Yeah, Mion, why don't you apply?
マネージャー。
Satoshi-kun smiled at me in a carefree manner. I didn't want to become their manager. It'd be tiresome. I've been coming every week, though, so I'm quasi-manager already.
まあ本当に気が向いたらその時はやりますんで。で、どうです？
Hang on. Think I don't remember the baseball stuff from Chapter 3 all that well. I wonder, because Mion was there. Was that actually Shion? Were they both there? No, I think Shion wasn't there. So Mion was there, but that might have actually been Shion. Oh, okay. I might have to go back and rewatch that.
サトシ君の打率はどんな感じです？
ええ、頑張ってますよ。彼の打率ですか？It's
.010. Dang it, Coach! You told me you wouldn't tell anyone.
セブンスマートでおせんべいの袋をどれでも3つ買うとですね。
それってつまり3割ってことですか？へえ、サトシ君って結構な高打率打者じゃないの。
That's a pretty good batting average, unless you're playing on Artie's backyard baseball team.
打率は数字じゃないよ、ミオン。ここ一番で打てなきゃ意味はないんだからさ。
サトシ君は自分で自分の弱点をよく分かっているようですね。
So the outfit implies that Coach is like actually a member of the team, not just the coach. He's like, yeah, all right, next bat is Satoshi, and oh no, he couldn't hit the ball, but the next person at bat is Dr. Erie. He's like, hey, he's not a kid. Dr. Erie up at bat. Wow, he got a home run. This is fair.
そこまで分かっているなら、あとは練習あるのみですよ。
If you remember correctly, Shion was there and she became very intense at the mention of Satoshi being spirited away. She was at the after party, I remember. I was talking about the game itself. Yes, I do remember her there at the after party, because I got a thumbnail for that. Erie signaled to the pitcher, who then threw the ball. Satoshi-kun looked calm, following the ball of his eyes. Then he swung. Thwack! The ball flew between the first and second bases and landed in the distance.
おお、やったー！パチパチパチパチパチ。
Pachi, pachi, pachi. I clapped, and Satoshi-kun blushed in response. He repositioned his helmet to hide his face.
フリーバッティングや試合が平坦な時はかなり落ち着いたいいバッティングを見せてくれるんですけどね。
Oh boy, Irie smiled compassionately. It seemed that Satoshi-kun really couldn't perform well when it counted. While he was usually good, when everybody expected him to perform, he couldn't. I get that. It's like I'm hilarious, but then I turn on the stream and then it's like, I can't talk now. I didn't think it was because of nervousness. He just couldn't do it. I think it's a perfect fit for Satoshi-kun's character. He seems calm at first glance, but he's actually slow. Okay, don't be rude.
スコアボードとかそういう数字上ではかなりの高アベレージヒッターなのにね。
Oh, it's the same song in both versions.
本番に弱いってのは致命的かも。そんなことだからこないだの浮田ジャガーとの試合でもここ一番で凡
Oh
退するん
no,
です
they're
よ。
facing the Jacksonville Jaguars?
うるさいな。気にしてるんだから黙っててくれよ。
あそこで打てればかなり美味しい見せ場だったんです
You
けど
don't
ね。
have to remind him, coach.
残念です。
A hit could have put the offense into the lead, or at least given them an extension. That was when Satoshi-kun came up to bat. Irie wanted him to live up to everybody's expectations, but statistically that wasn't likely to happen. Yet Irie insisted on giving him a chance, in spite of the fact that all of the team members had suggested a pitch hitter.
あーもうあそこで打てれば完璧なのにな。どうしてダメなんですか？
Shion, it's cause nerves got to him.
どうしてああいう時に打てないんですか？
Shion, stop being a jerk butt.
仕方ないよ。僕がああいう時弱いの本当だし、僕だって代打を出してくれた方が試合に勝てるかなって思ったし。
試合に勝つかじゃなくてサトシ君が勝つかどうかが問題なんです。ああもうなんで当の本人にここまで闘争心がないのかな。普通は逆でしょ。代打に変えられそうなところをここは俺に打たせてくださいって食ってかかるとこでしょ。自分から代打を出してほしいなんて言い出すなんて、ああもうなんでここまで闘争心がないのか
Shion,
な。
stop just ripping into him with the same thing over and over again. He feels bad about it, and it's just a sucky situation. You can't deal with it, so just shut up.
それは私も
And
普段
coach
から
is
言って
also
るんです
telling
け
you
ど
that
ね。
too.
まあその辺がサトシ君のいいところではあるんですがね。
普段は紳士でも試合には鬼になる。
No, Shion, not everybody has to be a bad guy.
男にはそういう二面性があっても私はいいと思います。とにかくサトシ君には鬼がない。仮にもひなみ沢の人間なんだからたまにはご先祖の鬼の血を思い出してください
Okay,
よね。
I don't believe that old wives' tale. I actually do think that there is some level of a demonic presence within Hinamizawa, but I don't think it's that the people themselves are like descended from demons.
って聞いてま
Although,
す？
if we get the Nephilim in here, that would be an interesting twist.
サトシ君
He tuned you out 5 minutes ago when you first started talking about this, and he tuned in 5 minutes later, and you're still talking about this. He already has to deal with that with his aunt.
聞いてるよ。よくわかんないけど。
わかんないけどってサトシ君の話をしてるんですよ。それを
He learned his superpower. Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head. He looked delighted for some reason. A blush immediately spread across my face. I didn't know how to respond.
ミオンは僕のためを思って
Not really, she's just kind of insulting you.
ありがとう。僕は頑張る。
サトシ君そういうことし
Coach
て
comes in with the perverted comments in 3, 2, 1.
ごまかしてなんかないよ。嬉しいだけだよ。
I couldn't resist his hand. I couldn't help mumbling like he does. Satoshi-kun ran back to the field, leaving me red as a beet.
頭撫でられるの弱いんです
Yeah,
か？
come on, coach, I know it's coming.
撫でる人によります。監督が撫でてきたら関節決めますんで覚悟の方よろしく
Way
で
to
す。
nip it in the bud right now.
もうずるいなじゃあ全員集合。今日は出席もいいことですか
I
ら
don't count. Okay,
人
that
数
doesn't
を
count.
分けて紅白戦をやってみ
That
ましょ
doesn't
う。
count. Oh my gosh, Coach wasn't perverted! Let's give Dr. Erie a hand, folks. That's how little I expect of him now. It's sad. The Hinamizawa Fighters are sort of a lazy team. The members gather simply to enjoy playing baseball, not to fight for victory. The Yokinomiya Titans use this field too, but they practice on a different day of the week. And they always train hard using dumbbells and stuff. You use dumbbells for playing baseball? Our team split into 2 groups and started a match, retaining their loose atmosphere.
じゃあ私は記録でもやるかな。監督、どっかに鉛筆ないですか？
いつもすみませんね。はい、これお願いしますね。
I took the pencil and the clipboard. I didn't know how to differentiate between the recording hits and errors at first, but by now I was used to it.
頑張ってサトシくん。あんまり応援するとまた打てなくなっちゃいますね。ほどほどに頑張れ。
Just okay.
それはそれでひどいな。
Time passed slowly that Sunday. Huge white clouds appeared in the sky. They made me feel healthy. Humans are born to be active under the sun. One of the parents was acting as umpire today, so Erie sat on the bench with me. He shouted words of encouragement to the kids while they ran to their positions. Any other baseball coach would constantly berate them, but he was much more generous, like a kindergarten teacher. I at least appreciate that. Coach has his good points. He letted the kids have fun while watching over them. To other baseball players, it might look a little naive.
それでもあの程度の練習量でみんなこれだけの動きができるんだから驚きですよね。
Well, they got the raw natural talent.
ひなみ沢の子はみんな普段から元気に遊び回ってますからね。運動量は町のことは比べ物にならないんです
That's
よ。
true.
変なフォームで固めてしまうより遊び感覚の方が伸びるんです。
おお、見事に沖宮タイタンズとは正反対の考え方ですね。あちらの監督と対立するのわかる気がしま
Who's
す。
the Titans coach?
タイタンズさんの考えも、試合は勝つためにするものですからね。勝利至上主義は決して間違いじゃないです。みんなで団結して共通の目標を目指すのはとても素敵なことだと思いますからね。うちはその目標がたまたま勝利じゃないってだけのことです。
The Hinamizawa Fighters and the Yokinomiya Titans had been rivals for a long time. Both teams shared the same baseball field for one thing. And originally there was only one team, but the people living in Hinamizawa left and made their own. Anyhow, we were rivals. The Yokinomiya Titans were strictly about winning, and the Hinamizawa Fighters were just about having fun. Surprisingly, our scores weren't that different, which meant our team had something they didn't. Even though I couldn't put it into words, I knew what made that happen.
ほら、赤組さんも頑張ってください。2点差なんかひっくり返せちゃいますよ。白組も油断なくしっかり。
2-point difference? That's nothing. Still, some parents would criticize our coach for being too lenient. But still others would strongly agree with him. Which side would I take? The latter? I couldn't really say for sure. The reason for this was that Erie had an obnoxious habit of sexual harassment. Yeah, no, that's not an obnoxious habit. That is like a criminal action right there. Bruh. In particular, he had a fascination with maids. Yes, and he makes that very clear. But I should talk about that some other time. You don't have to talk about it. Satoshi-kun let the ball pass twice to see its trajectory. Then hit it on the third pitch and ran to first base.
お、サトシ君打った打った。落ち着いてればさすがですよね。
最初はちょっと素振りしただけですぐバテてたんですけどね。それを思えば本当に上達したものです。
サトシ君って文系って感じの人ですよね。よくその彼が野球をやろうなんて思ったものですね。
All the other kids who joined the baseball team loved baseball. They'd go out to play in the fields outside of practice. That's why they all had an aptitude for it. But Sis never said that Satoshi-kun exercises intensively in school or anywhere else. He only likes to read. That's why I didn't understand why he started playing for this team to begin with. Practice for the final boss.
それはですね、私がサトシ君をこのチームに誘ったからなんです。
Erie's like, Satoshi needs a good male role model in his life, and we don't have one of those, so he's gonna have to make do with me.
へ へえ、監督が自らスカウトしたんですか？サトシ君に何かすごい素質があるのを見抜いて。
あ、すみません。麦茶を一杯もらってもいいですか？あ、どうも。
That's true. Yeah, you don't want to overexert yourself. There's a lot of people who say that, oh, you know, like, if you want to work out, the best way to work out is not to, like, push yourself to the limit, but to work out a little bit every day. Having that, just getting into a habit of regular exercise is much better than doing, like, a every once in a while you just go all out. Erie asked for tea in a suspicious manner. While he constantly joked around, I knew he was actually a very mature person. I assumed he was trying to evade my question.
何か訳ありなんですか？
Erie pretended he didn't hear me, but I pressed him on it. In response, he shrugged and began answering the question.
園崎さんなら、あるいは想像がつくんじゃないかと。
What would be Mio and Sonozaki's guess? I quickly searched through the data I had on Satoshi-kun. I came up with Satoshi-kun's family circumstances. He lost his parents in an accident a year ago. Since then, he's been having a tough time at his uncle's home.
じゃあ監
Hang
督
on,
は
wait.
サトシ君の鬱憤とかそういうのを解消させてあげようと思っ
Okay,
て
okay,
こ
hang
の
on,
チー
hang
ム
on.
に。
Going backwards for all the accidents. So the first incident was the foreman getting, like, dismembered. So I thought the second incident was Satoko's parents, the Hojos, dying. I thought the third incident was the priest and his wife dying, aka Rika's parents. I thought the fourth one was the aunt dying, and then the fifth one was whatever happens in the main games that we've been playing. Am I wrong on that? Or did I get the order wrong for the Hojos and the priests? Because if he lost his parents last year, then this would mean this would not be the year the aunt dies. This would be the year that Rika's parents die. I was under the impression that this was the year before Keiichi arrived. Therefore, the year that the aunt died. I am correct? Well, I can't be correct on both of those things. Because that would mean that this would be year 3 and year 4 at the same time. So is this the year that the priest and his wife die, or is this going to be the year that the aunt dies? That's what I really want to know. And that shouldn't be a spoiler, because I'm pretty sure they mentioned it at the beginning, and I just forgot. So you invited him so that he could vent, yeah.
スポーツはいいですよ。程よく体を動かして汗をかくことはストレスの発散になります。また熱中することによってわずかな間でも家庭のことを忘れられるなら、それは十分な気分転換になりますしね。
ほらサトシ君ってぼんやりしてるというかのほほんとしてるというか、そういうところあるじゃないですか。やっぱり相当ストレスあるんですか？
Well, the aunt would also be here during year 3 when the priest and his wife died. But so she would be here starting after the Hojo's death, but by the end of year 4, that's when she dies. I still don't know if this is year 3 or year 4, though. I knew Satoshi-kun must be suffering even though he didn't look like it. But Mio and Sonozaki never pays attention to things like that, and I had to act like she does.
おじさんに引き取られて少ししてから、サトシ君がだいぶ体調を崩しましてね。いろんな症状を訴えるんですが、いくら調べても原因がはっきりしないんですよ。
Satoshi-kun often got sick after he was taken into his uncle's custody. That probably means the uncle's doing something bad to him. He suffered from fatigue and migraines. He suffered from a lack of energy and sleeplessness. The coach, Dr. Erie, soon realized Satoshi-kun was suffering from a psychological disorder. Most of the people in Hinamizawa knew how bad Satoshi-kun's environment was. It was natural for him to become sick because he entered that bad environment right after his parents' deaths.
サトシ君は感情の爆発ができないタイプなんですよ。泣いたりとか怒ったりとか、そういう感情が人一倍苦手なんです。
確かにサトシ君が泣いたりとか怒ったりってのはあまり想像つかない
I
で
can
す
picture
ね。
him crying. Him being angry would probably be interesting.
サトシ君のお母さんが再婚を重ねてるのはご
I
存
don't
知で
think we did know that. I think that's new information.
まあ少しは。
Satoshi-kun's mother had married a number of men over the years. That meant Satoshi-kun had several stepfathers. I did not know about this. If they mentioned this, I completely forgot about this. He had to deal with strangers coming into his home multiple times, so he was forced to be mature.
サトシ君は精神的に早熟なんです。
Does that mean that he and Satoko are only half siblings? Or are they full siblings?
本人は自
Again, if
覚
that's
し
a
ていない
spoiler,
でしょう
don't tell
ね。
me.
泣いたり笑ったりダダをこねたり、そういう時代をあっという間に卒業させられて大人になっちゃったんです。
監督の言い方だと大人ってのが必ずしもいいようには聞こえないですね。
子供は子供らしく過ごすことで成長していくようにできているんです。それを無理に大人にしたらやっぱりいいことはないですよ。
Not only was Satoko's current relationship with her aunts conspicuously terrible, I heard that her relationships with her previous stepfathers weren't good either. Satoko always caused problems, and Satoshi-kun would always step in to protect her.
だからサトシ君の体に変調が出たのはそういうことに体が耐えかねた SOS じゃないかって思ったんです。
That's why Eri invited Satoshi-kun onto the baseball team. He told Satoshi that he needed a new member, or something like that.
初めは渋ってましたけどね。彼と診療の際にいろいろとお話しするうちに少しずつ打ち解けていきましたね。
I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Coach wasn't a pervert, he would easily be my favorite character in the game. Because when we get this like mature and insightful coach, he's awesome. But then he's like, oh my gosh, I love maid outfits. You should wear one. Heh
ちょっと見学だけにでも来てみるといい。ちょっとバットを持ってみるといい。なんて感じで少しずつ誘っていったんですよ。
Sports worked excellently for Satoshi-kun. His health quickly improved, and he started to become interested in baseball. He practiced batting. He was soon able to swing beautifully, and that's when his aunt died, due to a blow to the head from a baseball bat. How did that happen? He learned how to see the trajectory of the ball.
なんかわかるな。サトシ君ってコツコツタイプですからね。How to Baseball なんて本をしおり挟みながら読んでる風景が想像できます。
それであれよあれよという間に3割打者なんです。本当によく頑張りました。これでピンチの時にも打てれば完璧なんですけどね。
サトシ君と監督って仲いいんですか？
悪くはないと思ってますよ。悩みとかそういうのを打ち明けてくれたということは私を信頼してくれたからだと思ってます。
I felt a bit jealous of how confidently Eri said that. While Satoshi-kun and I were friends, we weren't so close that we'd open up to each other like that.
あれ？嫉妬してます？
何に？
Taken aback, I blushed. Eri started laughing at me.
園崎さんもサトシ君の相談相手になってあげてください。
まあなれるならなれたらいいかななんて。
You agree that's why he can't be better than Toмотake? I like Toмотake, he's just such a... We don't get to talk to him that much. Although I think... Thinking about it, I think my favorite two characters in this are Rika and Rena. They're both good for different reasons. They're both very fascinating. Speaking of which, I hope we run into Rena soon. I want to see... I really, really want to see how Rena acts when we're not Keiji. Because I'm curious if she's going to be, like, a fairly different, like, personality-wise when Keiichi's not here. If she's going to be different because it's a couple years ago. Or if she's just going to kind of be the same old Rena. I didn't know what I was saying. Okay, Coach! You don't have to go all scary, shiny glasses here. You're acting like a villain. Wow, he looks so bad in that art style. Oh, he doesn't have the scary, shiny glasses here. Okay.
最近また少し体調を崩してるみたいなんです。
Oh? thwack. We got the creepy music for 1 second. The ball flew to the left. But the left fielder managed to catch it. He jumped in the sky that high? It seemed that the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had gotten worse lately. It was obvious his sickness had something to do with that.
おばさんがかなり大人げないいじめ方をしているらしいんです。さとこちゃん、本当にかわいそうなくらいにボロボロになって。
Their aunt watched Cinderella and thought that the evil stepmother was the good guy.
何しろ聞いた話では。
で、それをかばうサトシ君もボロボロになっているということですね。
I wasn't interested in Satoko, so I switched the subject back to Satoshi-kun. Oh, great. She's like, who cares about her? I didn't know much about Satoko. I knew that she was a big part of Satoshi-kun's life, but I'd never been interested in her until today. She must have been building up self-esteem and taking care of her unreliable brother. That was all I knew about her. But considering Satoshi-kun's personality, even that goofiness of his might have been an act. Maybe he was trying to make her feel good about herself by letting her take care of him. If only unconsciously. When he's alone, he's surprisingly strong. I realized that only recently. So I couldn't help but think that his whole life is constantly affected by Satoko. Satoshi-kun managed to get along with his stepfathers even though he experienced some stress. He was even getting along with his aunt. But in order to protect Satoko, he always had to step in and suffer. I didn't really know anything about Satoko, but I had to admit, I felt hostile toward her. Great. That's what Satoko needs, more hostility. I felt jealous because she was monopolizing him. Great, Shion! That's mature to feel.
最近、さとこちゃんへのおばさんのいじめがだいぶエスカレートしてるみたいです。
Here's my theory. So we haven't met the aunt yet. I'm willing to bet that the aunt is just a naturally miserable person who always needs to be nagging or like yelling at somebody to feel good about herself. So she and Teppei were like drawn to each other because they're both terrible people. And then eventually they were so terrible to each other that they're like, okay, the uncle decided to, he's like, I'm going to start cheating on you and getting a mistress. And then the aunt is on her own. So she's like, great, now I have to take care of these kids. So now she's like freaking out about Satoshi. Satoshi eventually kind of learns to deal with her. So she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll freak out on Satoko now. She just sounds like an unpleasant person. Satoko's like 10 years old. Victim blaming. I know. It's like, how dare Satoko, how dare she get abused by the aunt and need Satoshi to step in? So selfish. This is not a funny situation, but you know, sometimes we have to laugh at the pain in order to process it.
サトシ君の体調不良もそれに比例しているんでしょうね。
Also, he has a stalker. Eerie heaved a sigh. As he said, Satoshi-kun had been absent a few times lately. He seemed a bit tired, too. He looked normal when around everybody else, but he looked a bit depressed when he was alone. How do you know when he's alone?
ストレスに押しつぶされそうなサトシ君を救うため、野球に誘ったんです
She
よ
is
ね。
100% memorizing his schedule and secretly following him, being like, he looked sad when he was by himself. It's also Toko's fault.
ええ、そのつもりでした。
こうして野球をやっている今、またストレスに押しつぶされそうになっているサトシ君に、今度は何を誘えばいいんですか？
Okay, hang on a second. Okay, prediction time. We kind of thought, prior to this, that in year 4, it was Satoshi who killed the aunt and then kind of was demoned away, either he fled or something happened to him. No, I think Shion is going to kill the aunt. And Satoshi is like probably gonna find out, and he's either gonna like run away because Shion is nuts, or he's going to like kind of try to pretend to take the rap for her and disappear. And that's why Shion is so crazy in modern day, because she feels guilty about Satoshi kind of taking the blame for her, and also she's crazy because she murders someone. That's my prediction for this chapter.
どうすればいいんでしょうね。
I know. Chapter 3 does a really good job of making you feel really bad for Satoko. She's kind of a brat, but she's going through a really hard time. So, like, that doesn't necessarily excuse her behavior, but it does explain it, and I still am like, yeah, bro, get her to a safe house. I couldn't help but feeling a bit disappointed about that, because Satoshi-kun put his trust in him.
内緒にしてくださいよ。 実はですね、チームを抜けたいってそう漏らすんですよ。
Oh. I mean, yeah, I get that.
どうして？
疲れるからだそうです。というのは表向き、聡子ちゃんと一緒にいる時間を増やしてあげるためじゃないかと思ってま
Oh,
す。
he wants to be a good older brother.
サトシ君は野球をしている間、
Yikes!
聡子ちゃんがおばさんにいじめられているかもしれ
Thought
な
the
い。
aunt was just verbally abusive, but maybe she's physically abusive too.
その時、聡子ちゃんのそばにいられないことが兄として辛いと、そう思っているのかもしれませ
Well,
ん。
Ruben, it's true that her bratty behavior is explained because school time is the only safe place to be a child when she's with the aunt and or uncle. But for chapter 1 and 2, from what I understood, she was living with Rika. Because her parents were dead, so then she went with the aunt and uncle. The uncle's like, "Bruh, I'm cheating on you. I'm not doing it this." So then it was just the aunt. Then the aunt dies. And then the uncle's kind of like, "Bruh, I don't want anything to do with this." So he's still living with the mistress. So then Satoko's living with Rika, living her best life. But she's still a brat at school. So I'm not as cool with that part. But, you know. I was left speechless for a while. Satoko again. Satoko. Why did Satoshi-kun have to sacrifice so much for her? Stop victim blaming! Just by ignoring her, his stress would melt away. Shion, you're the worst. Well, in a manner of speaking. Of course, I knew he couldn't do that. If that were the case, then the blame would lay with his little sister. No, it wouldn't! It lies with his aunt for being abusive! I knew how badly she'd been treated. But that only happened because she made things worse for herself. No. She's 10 years old. If the aunt is, being extremely cruel to her, it's not because Satoko's making things worse. That's on the aunt. The aunt is an adult, okay? Satoko is still developing. It was her fault that she couldn't establish a decent relationship with her aunt. Oh my gosh, you're the worst! If Satoko were more mature like Satoshi-kun, her home life wouldn't have gotten so bad. I can barely even read this. She's so annoying. Satoshi-kun wouldn't have had to suffer those indirect blows. In the meantime, the baseball team's practice match had become one-sided. It wasn't even worth watching anymore. You're keeping score, so you have to. The members of the losing team were just goofing off. Yuck! The sky had turned cloudy, too. It was depressing. That's not a cloudy sky. I mean, there are clouds, but the sun's still shining brightly. It didn't look like it had rained soon, though. The gray sky hadn't brought along any cool air. It just felt disgusting. Satoshi would not like anyone blaming his little sister. True, Shirley, true. Eerie became quiet. He was looking down at his feet. He can read your mind, and he's, just disgusted with you. I, meanwhile, just stared at Satoshi-kun. To me, he didn't look active anymore. He was once able to enjoy playing baseball, and he felt fine. But he got sick again, just because of the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had deteriorated. I couldn't help but say it.
サトシ君をどうこうするってより、サトコをどうこうする方が先決では。
What do you mean by that? Please elaborate. It was just a murmur, but Eerie had definitely caught it.
それはどういう意味ですか？その崎さん。
Choose your words carefully here, Shion, because Coach definitely has a soft spot for Satoko.
別に難しい
We
話じゃない
kill
です。
Satoko.
サトコがしっかりしてくれれば、サトシ君に迷惑をかけることもない。
No.
サトコがそもそもの原因であるってことが言いたい
I
だけ
think the aunt and uncle are the cause of everything.
そんなことは。
Oh, he did not like that.
でしょ？だってサトコがトラブルからサトシ君はそのトラブルに介入して矢面に立たなければならないんでし
Victim
ょ。
blaming Shion.
でその結果、本当は買わなくて済んだおばの喧嘩まで買ってるわけでしょ。
Satoshi-kun never got scared of any trouble. No matter how formidable the enemy, he'd bravely stand up to protect the weak. He did that one time for you. I knew that because I could vividly imagine it. Whenever the aunt chides Satoko, Satoshi-kun steps in to protect her. Okay, he does do that too, my bad. The aunt probably didn't like it. Though Satoshi-kun didn't have to fight, the aunt would attack him anyway. The fight would then be between the aunt and him. Satoko might tease their aunt by sticking out her tongue, hiding behind his back and pretending to be scared. She'd never think about how deeply he was being hurt. I don't think that's what's happening! My gosh, Shion, you're the worst! Because of Satoko, Satoshi-kun had become cornered and stressed.
園崎さんあなたがそんな言い方
That's
をす
the
る人だ
face
った
of
とは
pure disgust.
驚きです
Look at that. Yeah, I'm 100% on Coach's side here.
あなたはさとこちゃんのお友達でしょお姉さん的な立場でしょ普段も学校でさとこちゃんを慰めたり励ましたりしてるものだと思ってましたなのにそんな
Oh
言
my
い方を
gosh.
するなんて
Yes, how is she going to explain this to Mio? Just like, oh yeah, by the way, I basically said that Satoko should just suck it up and do better. What the heck, Shion? Now Coach hates me forever.
正直驚いています
Erie looked at me suspiciously. I could tell he was thinking about me. I'd said too much. Yeah, you also thought too much. Mion Sonozaki and Satoko Hojo are friends. They're close, so Mion should have been encouraging her after the situation at home got tougher. That's what Mion was supposed to do. I had totally forgotten about that and spoken as myself. It's only natural that Erie would give me a suspicious look. He might end up changing his impression of Mion Sonozaki entirely. I'd have to apologize to her about this and ask her to put things right. I totally messed up. Yeah! But the annoying thing is, she doesn't think she messed up because what she said was disgusting and victim blaming. What she thinks she just messed up because she said something that's not something that Mion would say. Even so, I didn't think I'd said anything wrong. Look at that. Look at this. This woman sucks. I'd objectively looked at the situation and made a modest proposal. Oh my gosh, you are the worst! I can't believe I'm saying this, but bring back Kazumi Yuji. No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. To be honest, I was simply afraid that he might leave the team. I couldn't go to school in Hinamizawa, so the baseball field was the only place where I could see him. So it sounds like you're just being completely 100% selfish. I could even say that he was my reason for living. Okay, that's a problem. That's sad, but that's also a problem, and you're becoming codependent on him, and this is not going to end well. That's right, I was in love with him. But I wasn't going to tell him how I felt, for I was satisfied just being by his side. Yeah, you think that now? I certainly couldn't ask for anything more? I doubt that. After all, I couldn't reveal my true identity. I had to pretend to be Mion in order to live in Okinomiya. I thought that maybe I should leave Okinomiya in order to be free. But that's stupid. No matter how tough my life might be, I'd prefer to be here, with Satoshi-kun stroking my head every now and then. Why did I love him that much? It's probably because of your upbringing, and you're probably a little mentally unstable. I read about it in some manga once. You don't need a reason to be in love. I was surprised at myself for being like this.
落ち着け私
I breathed out slowly, then held my breath, trying to slow my throbbing heart. I felt a bit calmer. At that point, a clear thought came into my head. I want to be with Satoshi-kun. So, I want him to stay on the team. So, I want to get rid of his concerns and his stress. So what? So, what can I do to achieve all that? My head started cooling down as I heard the umpire shout.
ゲームセット試合終了
I don't like where this is going. Shion is gonna do something insane. Be like, I'm gonna kill Satoko. He's not gonna care. Some days I see him, some days I don't. A clear sky gets cloudy, and rain will always stop eventually. I thought his absence was just like that, but he was actually on the verge of breakdown. Notebook page 19. Shion, it's been a week. At this point, almost all the main characters are mentally unstable. That's very, very true. Yeah. Honestly, I think the only two characters... I genuinely think the only two main characters you could argue that are actually mentally stable, and this is again, I don't know this for sure. Take this with a grain of salt. Mion and Rika. Now, even then, something's going on with Rika where she has knowledge of all the stuff that's happening, so I can't even call her completely mentally sound. And I know in Chapter 2, they really try to be like, oh, Mion's going crazy. I don't believe it. I still think that was Shion. So, I'm not saying that Mion's without her faults, but I don't think she's completely mentally unstable. I just think that she's part of a bad family, and she can't really get out of it, and she probably doesn't have much of a problem with being in it. Alright. The rainy season was just around the corner. The air had become so humid that my shirt stuck to my skin. This is what we call a first world problem, Shion. It had been a few weeks since Satoshi-kun stopped showing up for baseball practice. I looked at him for him as soon as I arrived at the field. He's not here yet. Did I get here too early? I want to see him playing in the field right when I get here. I had started arriving late because of those feelings. However, he wasn't there today either. Toмотake is mentally sound, something like drugs got him killed. Okay, I don't consider Toмотake to be a main character. I was looking mainly at, like, Keiichi, Rena, Mion, Shion, Rika, Satoko, and maybe I'll throw Satoshi in there too. But even then, he's only a main character in this one. I didn't even bother hiding my disappointment anymore. Because if we're including other characters as well, Akasaka is definitely mentally stable. Uisi is definitely mentally stable. I was going to say the teacher was, but the teacher has an unhealthy obsession with curry. Everybody knew by now how I felt. The team members from Mion's class came over to try and console me, but I shooed them away.
園崎さん、気分が優れませんか?
Even Erie couldn't comfort me. I was aware that he too knew why I was like this.
今日帰りますね。気分じゃないです。
ほら、今日は沖宮タイタンズさんと打ち合わせをする日じゃないですか。マネージャーの園崎さんにも同席してほしかったんですが、ね。
No, Uisi is kind of creepy at times with him being like, oh, I love Hooters. But he is mentally sound.
私を勝手にマネージャーにしないでください。
Rena is mentally sound if she remembers to take her meds.
私、マネージャーだったつもりはないんですから。
Erie looked down, not knowing what to say.
わかりました。元気が回復したらまた手伝ってくださいね。
もう来ないかもです。マネージャーが必要なら、私以外を募集してください。
気が向いた時でいいです。また遊びに来てくださいね。
Thanks, coach.
それにほら、あなたがいないとサトシ君が戻ってきた時寂しがりますよ。
I ignored him and turned around. I had already set up my schedule with Mion, so I didn't have to ask her every time anymore. I tried to contact her a couple of times to ask how Satoshi-kun was doing in school, but I hadn't been able to get through to her. Apparently the hag had sensed that I might be in contact with Sis. In other words, Sis was being watched. As a result, it hadn't been easy to contact her. Kasai, who had been helping me contact her, seemed to have also been marked. People knew he was loyal to me. I hadn't seen him for a while either. All I could do was wonder how Satoshi-kun was doing. He was aggressive with Keiichi in Chapter 3 for no reason at first. Are you talking about when he was catching us in the act of digging up a corpse? Because he absolutely had every right to be aggressive with... Or are you talking about when he was meeting us at the school and Coach kind of popped up and was like, hey, stop talking with him. Again, I think he was mentally sound. He maybe just was not doing the most ethical cop things. At times you feel bad for Shion when it comes to family and upbringing, but you also hate her for her selfish personality. Again, this is what I always say. Bad upbringing or tragic backstory. It can explain your actions, but it does not excuse your actions. My head is filled with worries, but something surprised me out of the blue. Somebody called out to me when I was about to leave my field on my bike. Yes! Yes! Here she is! It's Rena! I've been looking forward to this. I'd never seen this girl before. Luckily, she called me Mi-chan. There's only one person who refers to Mion that way as far as I know.
レナか。珍しいね。レナがここに来るなんて。
Her name is Rena Ryugu. Or Reina Ryugu, that's right. Her real name is Reina, but she wants to be called Rena. Because there's no I in Rena. So that's what we call her. She moved here in April. I had some information about her, but it was all ambiguous. Sis was still a bit uncertain about her since she's so new. It was hard for me to handle someone like that. I didn't know how to act around her as Mion. So I decided to pretend to be in an obvious sulky mood. That way she wouldn't talk to me as much, assuming that Mion was simply feeling bad. Well, that's how I really am anyway.
みーちゃんは帰り？
Uh-oh, she's gonna be great! I live there! Let's walk together!
気分が優れないの。
Uh-oh.
悪いね。
You don't care that your Yakuza dad figure is going to lose a finger, Satoshi is important. Yep, that's how it's gonna go, isn't it?
じゃあ一緒に帰ろう。
I wanted to say that I'd rather be alone, but there's only one road to Hinamizawa. So asking to be alone would look odd. The only way to not seem suspicious would be to walk home with her.
そうだね。帰ろうか。
Uh-oh! But I'm looking forward to this. Rena nodded quietly. I unlocked my bike.
みーちゃん、傘は？
持ってないけど。
今日はこの後天気崩れるかもしれないんだって。傘ないなら急ごう。
Yeah, it sounds like Rena just moved in. And so they don't really know much about her, which is honestly fascinating to me. I'm interested to see how this goes. As she predicted, we were attacked by pouring rain on our way. We ended up taking shelter in a small shack in front of a bus stop.
すごい降りだけど、これはそんなに長引きそうじゃないね。向こうの空は明るいもの。
Rena's so fascinating because she's simultaneously like the sweetest and like most caring and like lovely person, and she's also by far the most terrifying character in this when she goes crazy.
そうだね。
I heard the sound of rain pattering on the rooftop and the raindrops jumping into puddles. It sounded loud, but it made me feel strangely calm. I zoned out for a moment. Then Rena talked to me while looking up at the rainy sky.
最近元気ないって聞いたから
Why is Rena repeating her words? I don't know.
心配してたんだよ。
All the baseball team members knew I was depressed because I hadn't seen Satoshi-kun recently. Most of them attend the school in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't surprising that she knew as well. I hadn't been able to contact Sis these past few weeks, but I was sure she had an idea of how I feel about Satoshi-kun, and how I would feel if he didn't come to his baseball practice. Sis was probably pretending to act a little depressed during her day today in Hinamizawa to avoid creating a big gap between our moods. But neither of us knew the details about the other one right now. So she wouldn't be able to answer if others asked her what was wrong. She'd only be able to say, "Leave me alone." That might lead more people to become worried. Rena must have thought Mion was depressed. That must be why she came all the way here to see me. She must have known what was going on, because she knew that I was at the baseball field.
サトシ君、構ってくれないから寂しい？
Having deduced what's been going on with Satoshi-kun from what she just said, he'd been distancing himself from others lately because of his exhaustion, or because he's disturbed by how much of a creepy stalker you are. That's what it sounded like, at least.
サトコちゃんの件でだいぶ悩んでるみたいだ。
Shion's gonna snap. You're like, I'm so sick of Satoko!
サトシ君はすごく追い詰められてると思う。かわいそうだよね。
サトシ君は本当に妹思いだから、
Why
ね。
doesn't he care about me more?
偉いよ、本当に。
What I'd said sounded hollow, as I knew too well how much of a burden Satoko had become.
でもだからってみーちゃんまで落ち込んじゃったらかえってサトシ君を追い詰めちゃうように思うかな。
私に追い詰めるつもりなんて。
それはもちろん知ってるよ。でもだからこそ学校にいる時のサトシ君を笑顔で迎えてあげられなかったらみーちゃんはたとえ嘘でも笑顔が作れる強い人間だって知ってる。だから嘘でも笑ってほしいの。最初はたとえ嘘でもね。
Oh, I just realized, if she just moved here, this must have happened very shortly after her massive mental breakdown at her previous school where she just shattered all the glass windows with a baseball bat. Ooh. I'm excited.
笑顔って最後には本物になるんだよ。
What she was saying, in a nutshell, was this. Both Satoshi-kun and Satoko were totally wiped out. If Mion was also depressed, even though she's the sort of person who usually lightens the mood, their situation would be stuck in a vicious cycle. Rena sounded more like she was trying to give me advice than trying to console me. She must be more mature than she looks. Sis told me she was a funny girl with a few bad habits, but she seemed to have another very mature side to her.
みーちゃんはサトシくんのこと好き？
She does, but Mion doesn't. I assume. Oh, she just answered yeah. Though I shouldn't have told her that. I immediately responded.
なら笑おう。
Rena smiled herself.
みーちゃんの笑顔できっとサトシくんに元気を分けてあげられると思う。みーちゃんはそれしかできないことに落胆しかけているかもしれないけれど、それでもね、多分それが一番サトシくんの力になる。
Detective Rena is pretty good.
理屈ではわかるけどね。笑えったってそう簡単にはできないよ。
Rena giggled and nodded.
野球の練習にもさ、バイトが終わったらきっと帰ってくるから。
His part-time job? I almost asked that question, but I managed to stop myself. From the tone of Rena's voice, it sounded like it was something everyone knew.
バイトか。いつ終わるんだろうね。
お金が貯まるまでだろうけど、どんなに遅くてもさとこちゃんの誕生日までには終わるよ。
Wait. Trying to remember. Was there something in a previous chapter about how he was trying to save up enough money for Satoko's birthday? And then, like, he left around that time, and Keiichi was like, how could he leave without Satoko? He's the worst. He's a jerk butt. I hate him. I think that's what happened, yeah. I couldn't remember if he was saving money specifically to get her something nice, or if he was saving enough money to try to get them away from the aunt. But then it's like, but then he just disappeared. I think that's what it was. I tried to figure out what was going on from what she said. I had to listen very carefully to uncover the whole picture. Oh my gosh, she's gonna be like, he's doing it for Satoko again! She's the cause of all his misery! Satoshi-kun seemed to be working in order to make some money. I don't think it's easy to find a job when you're still in school. Sis might have had something to do with it. His job only seemed temporary, and it seemed to have something to do with Satoko's birthday. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. Satoshi was working to saving up to buy his little sister something expensive for her birthday. He was trying to comfort her, even though he was so torn up himself. Satoko again. Satoshi-kun was already worn out because of her, and now he was working for her sake even though he was exhausted. How much of these disgusting thoughts are we gonna have to hear? How stupid. It'll be easier for him to just forget about Satoko. He should spend the money on me. I'm more important. I don't know why he cares about his little sister. She just sounds terrible. Oh, jeez. I was not ready for that one. Rena, I don't really see why you should be this creepy. I was startled when I realized Rena was staring straight into my eyes. She was smiling, but her eyes looked creepy. I never voiced what I was thinking. But she was looking at me as though she figured out that I was blaming Satoko. She can read minds! She beamed when she noticed my fear. Oh, great! Rena! Being terrifying again! She smiled as though she understood that I thought that way because of love. She was giving me the creeps. I could hear thunder roar in the distance. The rain began to pick up.
さとこちゃんがサトシくんを独占してることに
Jane!
嫉妬を感じてる？
Rena did not take her pills this morning, clearly. Maybe Rena is still waiting on her pill prescription. I avoided answering immediately this time. But Rena seemed to know what I was thinking already.
別にみーちゃんがそう思っても私は軽蔑しないよ。
Bro, this is what I mean. She's so sweet and caring, but my gosh, is she terrifying.
人を一途に好きになるときってそういうものだもん。
ありがとう。
でもみーちゃんは今までずっとさとこちゃんを励ましてくれてたよね。それって私すごく立派なことだと思うな。
さとこは仲間だもの。当然でしょ。
I sounded so fake. I felt like spitting on the floor.
私たちにはさとこちゃんもさとしくんも 励ますことしかできな
Okay,
い。
here's the thing. If she actually loves Satoshi and she wants to be with him, does she really think that Satoshi's just gonna be like, see ya, Satoko, don't care about you at all. I'm gonna be with Shion. Like, Shion, you have a sister. You at least seem to care about your sister on some level. At least I think so. But, right, boy.
どうやったらこの苦境から救ってあげられるのかわからない。
You love your boyfriend, but you don't hate his sister. Yeah, exactly. Assuming you marry the guy, the sister's going to be part of your family for the rest of your lives. Why would you just be like, I hate them? Not even gonna try. You should just leave.
サトコがサトシ君にべったりしすぎなんだよ。サトコがもっとしっかりすれば、サトシ君がここまで追い詰められることはない。
はっきり言うね。
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Satoshi really would want Shion to care for Satoko. 100%. Rena nodded with an unflinching smile, even though my remarks could be taken as harsh. What was this mysterious girl thinking? It was difficult to get a read on her. That's the other reason why she's so creepy.
サトシ君もさ、ほんの少しはそう思っているとこあるかもしれないね。
Rena, do not plant that idea in Shion's head.
Eh?
Rena kept smiling, but her smile looked vaguely and strangely cold.
サトシ君も多分心のどこかでサトコちゃんをかばい続けることに疲れを感じてると思う。
Given the type of person Rena is, I don't think she'd say something if she wasn't certain of it. Because of that, she must have been confident in what she just told me.
どうしてそう思う？
私、サトシ君に打ち明けられたから。
Rena? Are you being honest, or are you just sowing little seeds of chaos here? Satoshi-kun secretly confessed to her. Rena asked me to keep it that way.
サトシ君がね、言った兄として頼られることに苦痛を感じる。それはとても罪深いことだと知っているけど。
Since when are the two of them buddy-buddy? I thought Rena just moved here. Oh yeah, creepy music. I don't think he would say something like that. But however, it wasn't likely that Rena was lying. I just met her, so I didn't know what made me feel that way. But my hunch told me that she was telling the truth. It's because it's a truth you want to believe. I heaved a huge sigh. Satoshi-kun must have gotten so tired that he couldn't help telling someone. Even so. Even if he thought that way, he wouldn't tell somebody so easily. Maybe Rena led him to do so. She might be capable of something like that. I don't understand this girl. It had only been a little while since we'd met, but I'd already started talking about something I was keeping deep inside of me. Does she have some kind of supernatural power to reach into people's minds and drag out what they're thinking? It suddenly hit me that I was sitting with this creepy girl in a tiny shack. I've been dragged into her strange world. I don't think Sis had realized Rena's real personality. She thinks Rena's just a funny girl with some strange habits. She would have told me if she knew.
レナは
Oh!
サトシ君に打ち明けられるくらいに信頼されてるんだね。
Look at the CG! Oh, it looks so nice! Rena's fingers on her right hand look kind of weird. Like her thumb. Look at Rena's thumb. It's so strange looking if you think about it. It's very long and thin. I know she's a girl, but like, really? Wow. Rena's a great listener. Yeah, I mean, that's true. It makes sense for a sibling to be exhausted if the younger one and vent his frustrations to a friend but not act on it. But he doesn't know Rena that well, so something must have happened.
羨ましい。
別に信頼されてるわけじゃない。私が経験者だからだと思う。
Does Rena have a sibling we don't know about?
経験？
This wouldn't be the first time there's a sibling we didn't know about randomly introduced partway into the story.
レナにも兄弟をかばったりした経験が。
ひたひたとずっと足音がついてきて。
Ooh. That's a sign that someone's going crazy when they hear footsteps following them.
夜は枕元にまで立たれて見下ろされる経験。
Oh. Huh? Sorry, Rena. What are you talking about? I turned around to face her and got the chills. Reptile eyes are back, everybody! Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze with my eyes open.
みーちゃんにはないないと思う。
I know we knew Rena was loony. She wasn't loony in Chapter 2. She was the one and only Well, no, that's not true. Well, okay. Assuming Mion actually was the crazy one, Rena was literally the only sane person in Chapter 2. Out of the kids. Oh.
多分。
Rena kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to figure out what she was saying.
みーちゃんはひなみ沢から逃げ出そうとか、もっと都会に行きたいなとか、そういうことを考えたことはある？
I didn't know how to respond. Rena waited for my answer, urging me to speak it with her silence.
ないよ。私は地元好きだし。
だよね。だよね。みーちゃんはそうだと思う。
Okay, Rena, I really have to go. It didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Yeah, Rena doesn't like liars. We learned that in Chapter 1. Rena has some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds by just seeing the slightest change in their expressions. So I had to tell her the truth.
そうならば、みーちゃんは大丈夫。お社様には怒られ
She's
ない。
obsessed with the demon, man.
お社様？
Oyashiro-sama. That's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment.
うん。お社様。
She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Oh, it's the same song, okay. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama never allows the villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the dismemberment murder and the death of the Hosho couple. When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was so scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall under the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, to Okinomiya to be precise. But it should be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Hinamizawa. The hag forces me to live in this suffocating life, but I still chose to stay in this place. I don't believe I'm breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I came back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me. But I think I'm still afraid of it.
私は地元好きだから、その意味ではお社様のたたりがあるとは思っちゃいないね。模範的だとすら思ってるけど。
うん。それは私も認める。だからこそ、サトシ君のことはわかんない。
どうして？
サトシ君は心のどこかで
Yeah, I wonder why.
ひなみ沢を捨ててどこかへ逃げ出したいと思ってるから。
I gave an inaudible cry. While I was feeling sad that Satoshi-kun hadn't shown up for practice, he still lived in Hinamizawa, so I'd never even considered the thought of him going away.
サトシ君が家出したがってるってこと？
うん。無意識のうちに。お社様が枕元に立つまでは多分意識すらしてなかったと思う。
I am still wondering if Oyashiro-sama is an actual demon or not. I do think there's a demonic power or presence at play somewhere here. I'm not sure if it's Oyashiro-sama or not, though. I still had no idea what she was talking about. I continued trying to figure out what she was saying.
サトシ君が体験していることはすべてお社様のたたりの前触れな
I
の。
love the alarm too. This is a really well done music track.
誰かが遠くからじっと伺っている。誰かがずっとつけてくる。誰かがいつも自分のすぐ後ろから見てい
It's
る。
crazy hearing all these creepy dialogue coming from Nagisa's voice actress.
やがて足音は常に自分とずれて一つ余計に聞こえるようになるの。それらは初めのうちはお外でだけだけど、やがて後ろのそれは自分の家の中にまでついてくるように
So
なる。
Rena was always crazy.
そしてお布団に入って明かりを消してもずっと枕元から見下ろしてるの。ただただ黙ってじっと自らの罪を認めるまで。サトシ君は夢見が悪いって最初言い出したの。
Rena, is there something that you want to talk to us about?
それで私がどんな夢と聞いたら、私の時をなぞるようだった。だから私彼に予告したの。その気配がやがて近づき足音を聞かせるようになり、常にサトシ君を見下ろしているようになったなら。
Rena, is this something you are actively experiencing right now, or is this something that you experienced in the past? Or in the future?
それはきっと私の時と同じだから相談してって。サトシ君ははじめ私のことを怪訝に思ったと思う。でも私が予告した通りにお社様の気配が近づくのを感じ、お社様が枕元にまで立つに至って。
How would things have been different if Keiji had been given meds? Yeah, Keiji kind of went crazy in like all of the chapters. In chapter 1, he killed his friends and like clawed out his own throat at the end. In chapter 2, in chapter 2, I think he was more just completely and utterly stupid rather than insane. Although I think he went insane at the end when he was like hallucinating Mion/Shion at the end, like killing him. And in chapter 3, I mean, do we even need to talk about chapter 3? the chapter ended with him in an insane asylum in a straitjacket. So, yeah.
やっと自分の身に起こってることを相談できるのは私しかいないって
That must have been a real comfort.
気づいたの。
Hey, Rena. Rena didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. I could only feel stunned.
私はね、もともとひなみ沢に住んでいたの。小学校に上がる直前で茨城に引っ越した。でも新しい環境に馴染めなくてね。
That's a way of putting it.
心の中のお社様にひなみ沢に帰れ帰れって何度も呼びかけられてた。
This is honestly one of the weirder things here. Because Rena was not in Hinamizawa or the nearby area, but she still was having these weird, like, Oyashiro-sama things. This is kind of what makes me think there is some level of a demonic presence here. Because if it actually is a human who is, like, masterminding everything, how would they have known Rena would be around, and why would they go out of their way to, like, find her in this weird prefecture and be like, Oyashiro-sama, blah. This is interesting.
でも小学生の子が泣きながら元の町に帰りたいって言ったってどうにもならないもんね。私は現実とお社様の声に板挟みにされてずっと過ごすことになる。そして
Rena, how much are you going to be oversharing today? Rena paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into the details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more. Well, I'm pretty sure Rena just broke all the windows in her school after that.
結局いろいろあって私はひなみ沢に帰ってくることができた。だからお社様にはそれで許してもらえた。あれ以来お社様の気配を感じることはないもの。
That's interesting.
でもね、サトシ君は私と違ってひなみ沢にいながらお社様のたたりを受けることになった。それはなぜか。理由は一つ。サトシ君はひなみ沢にはいたけれどもひなみ沢を捨てて遠くに逃げたがっていたから。その心をお社様は許さなかったんだね。サトシ君は自問自答を何度も繰り返した挙句にほらサトシ君アルバイトをしてるでしょ。サトコちゃんが欲しがったあの大きなぬいぐるみは 10万円くらいする
A
もんね。
$1,000 teddy bear? That's highway robbery.
サトシ君はサトコちゃんの誕生日までにその額を稼ごうとし
That
ている。
bear better be made of solid gold.
でもほら、考えてみて。それだけのお金があったら後先を考えなくていいなら、どこか遠くへ逃げ出す十分な費用になりうるんだよ。
That's what Keiichi thought happened.
サトシ君は無意識のうちにね、サトコちゃんを捨ててどこか遠くへ逃げ出すお金に使ってしまいたいって。それはサトシ君にとってはこの上なく罪深い。
Yeah, even the Papa Bear in Animal Crossing didn't cost anywhere close to that amount.
でもさっきみーちゃんが指摘したように、サトコちゃんの存在自体がサトシ君の負担になってるのは事実。サトシ君だってバカじゃないもん。兄として認めたくなかっただけでサトコちゃんが負担になっていることにはちゃんと気づいていた。だからサトシ君は葛藤してるんだよ。自分は妹を喜ばせるためのお金を貯めるためにバイトをしているつもりだけれども、それは自分の心を騙しているだけで、本当は自分が逃げ出すためのお金を作るためにバイトしてるんじゃないかって。
Interesting.
私は逃げ出すべきじゃないと思う。逃げ出したってサトシ君は多分一生後悔する。お社様だってそれを分かってるからサトシ君にこうして警告してくれているの。
Prediction: Satoshi is gonna ask Shion to look after Satoko before he disappears, dies, or skips town. I could see that happening. But that means Shion is definitely not going to actually follow through on that.
サトシ君の心にサトコちゃんを見捨てるなんて悪魔のささやきが
And she,
早く聞こえなくなるといいんだけど。
Shion's gonna be like, I hope so too, but for completely the opposite reason.
サトシ君は綿流しの数日後だっけのサトコちゃんの誕生日にプレゼントを間に合わせるため、今いろいろなアルバイトに精を出してる。心も体も追い詰めてる。そんな苦境がきっとサトコちゃんの誕生日を境に終わるんだって信じて。
Thank you for this long monologue, Rena.
サトシ君は今もお社様のたたりに苛まれている。サトコちゃんを守るか見捨てるかの天秤の狭間に立たされながらね。
Huh. The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pouring down on the galvanized iron roof, producing a loud noise. Yet in the shack, it fell completely silent. The hell was Rena talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I figured out is that Satoshi-kun was struggling, confused, and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oyoshiro-sama's curse, and Rena had experienced that before. But Watanagashi Festival was right around the corner. Oyoshiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. Okay, so this is year 4. There was no guarantee that it wouldn't strike a 4th time. Satoshi-kun was subject to Oyoshiro-sama's curse even now. Was he going to skip town? Was he going to be the next victim of Oyoshiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. And I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Rena told me. But if something really was happening to Satoshi-kun, which might bring about some kind of an end, I couldn't help feeling scared. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but she had to listen to me.
お姉、サトシ君のことだけど、どういうことになってるの？
最近だいぶ険しい様子なんだよ。
By the way, Shion, you better tell Mion that you totally victim blamed Satoko right in front of Coach. And you also better tell her about the really weird monologue that Rena gave you.
部活に声もかけられない雰囲気。
何それ？声をかけられないからサトシ君がどういう状況になってるかよく分かってないってこと？お姉、キンキンにまた入れ替わる機会を設けてほしいの。
うん、 それはもちろん構わないよ。でも最近はちょっと綿流しのお祭りの打ち合わせの絡みで似て何
Well, I got a plan.
またバイト？
私ひなみ沢の学校へ行く。
That's not a good idea, Shion. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh no, that is Higurashi when they cry. Shion's gonna mess it up again. New tips unlocked. Notebook page 21 and page 24. These are great tip names, by the way. Just fantastic. Possessed achievement. Heard a story about Oyashiro-sama, and it says bus stop on the achievement. That's great. All right, let's look at the tips. Page 21. Why don't I relate my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Her name is Rena Ryugu. Her real first name is Reina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain, she has no relation to the Sonozaki family. She has no relation to the three families as a whole either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinamizawa, but they moved to Ibaraki. This was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinamizawa some years later. Rena Ryugu said that she came back because Oyashiro-sama told her to. How did the parents take that? Oh, that's right. She vandalized the school and they're like, maybe we should go back. I don't know what that means. She said it was like the curse of Oyashiro-sama. That Oyashiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Satoshi-kun had been interested in that experience. She said that Satoshi-kun is also experiencing Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Rena had the same experience before. What is Oyashiro-sama's curse? Why did Rena and Satoshi-kun have a similar experience? I believe that means that somebody put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Rena and Satoshi-kun both blindly believed in Oyashiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oyashiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing paranormal phenomena. Judging from what Rena said, it seems that Satoshi-kun had been put on surveillance since long before Watanagashi. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Rena? I'm assuming that this surveillance was placed on a victim-to-be of that year. If so, I don't understand why Rena went through it. Why did they watch her even though she was living so far away? Bingo. If she was considered somebody who had abandoned the village, I could understand. But she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to Hinamizawa, but why would they wait that long? I guess she knows something that I don't. That's the thing. How could they stalk her when she was that far away? Satoshi-kun looked terrible. When he went home, he had to mediate a fight between Satoko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day. He became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He's either slept on his desk, or he was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. That curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Satoshi-kun that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Satoshi-kun's aunt had also been watched. Did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victims of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove the curse on Satoshi-kun was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance, paranoia, or really the curse? Indeed, indeed. Okay, I was planning on going a little bit longer, but we're right around the 2.5 hour mark of the stream, and that last chapter was pretty long, so I have no idea how long the next chapters are going to be, so we are going to save and quit the stream there. I am tired. We've got to the end of chapter 4. So, next week on Sunday, we will be continuing Higurashi When They Cry. We'll hopefully do the next 2 chapters within chapter 5. This week, we will be probably finishing up our Pikmin 4 streams, and then I will probably do a couple of one-off playthroughs, and I will make sure that we finish chapter Higurashi chapter 5 by the end of the month for Halloween. So, hopefully the timeline goes well. Thanks for joining in and chatting, everybody. It's always a fun time. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless everybody.